not turned on yet.
Hello.
Hello.
Just not for budget.
This conference will now be recorded.
We'll begin with the flag salute.
Yeah, we're gonna start the flag salute.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I'll have our guests sign in. There's a sign-in sheet, please. All right, welcome everyone. April 18th, Marion County Commission meeting, 12:30. We're ready to begin. We start with public forum. If there's anyone who'd like to make any comments?
Oh, we welcome you. Just come right up here and sit down. You know, No. I'm just kidding you. You don't have to make a public comment. I'm just kidding.
Commissioner Dalkey, quit baiting our guests.
Just
Okay, if there's no public comments in public forum, we'll move into agenda approval. Any additions or changes to the agenda? Okay, if not, we'll move into administrative. Ashley, what do you have for us?
Okay, I have minutes from April 11 and April 14.
Okay, commissioners have seen the minutes of April 11th and April 14th in their packets. Any additions or corrections? If not, is there a motion to approve?
so moved.
Motion by Commissioner Gehring, is there a second?
Second.
Second, Commissioner Dalkey. Discussion? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carried 5-0. There it is.
That should be two.
Got Ashley's system figured out. All right, next.
Okay. We do have one salary sheet.
Okay. Go. We have a salary change for David Silhan in Road and Bridge Gravel, $2,830, effective April 4th. New hire. Sorry, rehired as equipment operator 2.
Yes, I'll send it.
Got me off my script.
And next I have an early check for $25. The Fair Board needed it 3 days in advance for them to rent the building.
All right, we have a motion to approve the early check of $25.
So moved.
Commissioner Gehring, second by Commissioner Becker. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carried 5-0.
Okay, next I have the bid for the motor grader.
Would you like to do that when Bryce is here? Would you like to do that
Does the
when Bryce
commission-
is here?
What does the rest of the commission feel?
Is this
Is there any interest in it?
I guess first
For
let's.
one.
What was the interest?
Was cut off today to have.
The 15th. That was Friday.
Get the Chairman Day's not that.
Somewhere.
We have one letter of interest, and that is from the city of Marion. Their bid of $37,500.
What he thought that might bring.
I thought it was 45.
47.
47.
Do you want to table it till Bryce is here?
Yeah, that'd be fun.
Okay, we'll table the decision till Bryce is here.
And that's what these Marion is.
Excuse me. Right. Spreading some stuff out there. Spread out. Actually, not really spread.
Guess like, okay, well.
Lose your spot, John.
Did you lose your spot? No, sure.
Okay. Are you guys wanting to place an ad in the newspaper for Volunteer Appreciation Week? Here is what would go in there. We haven't done it for the last 2 years.
I believe the commissioner saw it in their packet, the ad. Did anyone not see it?
Oh, yeah.
And we can also put it on social media too, so.
I think it'd be a very good gesture. Is there a motion to put the ad and then also post on?
Put it in both papers or?
Yes.
So move.
Motion by Commissioner Becker to publish the National Volunteer Week ad and also on Facebook or our social media. Is there a second? Second, Commissioner Gary. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carried 5-0. Thank you for bringing that up.
Yep. And the rest that I have is agenda items.
Okay.
Meantime.
Okay. We have some representatives from Orsted with us today. If you'd like to make some comments or I guess I'm not quite sure.
Yeah, yeah, we're,
There's a speaker.
Gotta get in front of the mic for the online audience.
absolutely. Just wanted to be in attendance at today's meeting. I know there's a couple items that might come up. I wanted to be able to provide some information on it in case you needed some Orsted representation. But that said, Orsted's really excited about our wind project here locally, and excited to continue working with the county, project landowners, and the rest of the surrounding community to make sure this is a success. So Claire and I will be available for any questions that come up, but yeah, happy to be here.
Okay.
We're glad to have you.
Have you opened your office yet, or?
So we did acquire the operation and maintenance building there on Roosevelt Street from the city of Marion. So we actually we're regularly there actually, and so love to have.
If you're in
people-
town, that's where you're at.
Yeah, exactly. That's definitely when I'm in the office in the county. It's typically there. So.
Good deal.
How soon will you be removing crews in?
Say it again.
How soon will there be an uptick in crews around the area?
Great. Yeah, great question. And so we'll be. So you'll start seeing some of that soon. That said, please come to us if you have questions, feedback, comments. We're available. And so a lot of y'all have my contact info. A lot of you have Claire's contact info. We have a project website, and we also have a Facebook page. So please reach out to us. That said, in April, we're starting some initial preparatory work. So you'll probably be able to see some initial crews. That said, a lot whenever we're able to provide the county that final notice to proceed, that NTP notice date, it'll be in the coming months, and that's whenever there'll be more crews related to that.
You do have one sort of crew right now. I see a guy running around down in the area down there. Wanzak, that is your contractor, correct?
That's right, that's right. Our EPC contractor is Wanzak.
Cool.
That's right.
It's a lot of people saying comments, making comments, and hey, they're here. So, so it's, you know, they're seeing action already. So,
Yeah, we're excited to be here. I know Orsted, after acquiring the company, or acquiring the project last year, we're able to have our first introduction meeting. I think it was May of last year in this very room. And so, as you know, a lot of coordination, a lot of communication, a lot of planning with y'all, with county staff, with landowners, surrounding community, surrounding businesses. A lot's been done over the past year, so it's really exciting to, like you said, be able to see Wanzak out there and continue on with this work over the next couple of years.
good deal. Claire's still here? You brought her back?
Yep.
That's
I'm
right,
here.
that's right. And so we'll be in attendance for the rest of the meeting if any questions do come.
Thank you all.
Yeah.
Just by way of clarification, after the discussions on Friday, I had asked Jonathan to go ahead and provide something just for paper trail of what we had discussed when I called him back, and told him what, at least based upon his proposal, I had conveyed to you. And so I was I guess I envisioned something on a letterhead. That was no big deal, though. They communicate through email. I provided you a copy of that email, which he faithfully sent to me on Friday, basically setting out in very short form there, which is all it really needs to be, what their proposal was and is in that regard. So wanted to have you have that today so that we could formally recognize that if you so choose in terms of that discussion. And if that's acceptable, then we'll go from there.
So we need a formal action.
I would like there to be something in the minutes to that effect, since we've had quite a bit of discussion on it.
I'd make a motion that we accept this email as information proposing the letter of credit with third party for decommissioned security, and is there anything else specifically?
No, just that the forms of security presented are acceptable to the county based upon what's reiterated there.
That the forms of security is sufficient, what they provided here.
Okay, we have a motion from Commissioner Dahlke. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Second by Commissioner Crowfoot. Further discussion? If not, all in favor say aye.
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 Opposed, nay. Motion carried 5-0.
Okay.
Thank you again for working with us on that.
Yeah, I'm happy to.
Good.
That's it, on that part of it. We'll get to me later.
Oh, we're still at administrative for 15 minutes.
Oh, I didn't realize you were that far. You're never that far.
I know. Well, Ashley's keeping things rolling.
Yeah.
Jeez. Find some more.
Would you want to tackle one of your others?
Yeah, we could vault something else.
Since the bid opening is set at 1 o'clock, we probably should stick with the 1 o'clock time.
This is basically revisiting some action from last week to basically do a slight modification. Actually, this is going to be the original. I previously distributed to you the settlement agreement on mutual release regarding the APM final payment. We had discussed last week, as you'll recall, that we didn't have assurance or any kind of an indication that the remaining subcontractor had been paid. And they, as a matter of fact, indicated that that company had not been paid. So the intent was to go ahead and cut the check, including the name of that subcontractor on the actual tender. In talking with them then repeatedly during the course of the next couple of days, We were probably gonna have to make a change to that settlement agreement to add or recognize that that was done, et cetera, et cetera. And he finally, in the discussion, just said, I'll just go take care of it. And I said, then if you can get me something indicating that they have been, we were gonna do a basic subcontractor's release or an indemnification, but then there's more documents. And so they just went and paid, got an email directly from the subcontractor indicating that they have been paid and satisfied. So I think we could rely reasonably on that. So we left the settlement agreement the way you had tentatively approved it. And what I'm asking today is just go ahead and reconfirm that that is acceptable. And then approve that the check for $100,000 and the final payment be cut and tendered. Hopefully we can do something today. I don't know. I told them we should try. And it would be made out to 8 p.m.
I know this is a major concern with the commission, that the subcontractors all be paid, have their issues resolved before the final settlement. Is this an acceptable understanding to the commissioners that all subcontractors have been paid?
Yeah, also I have the emails that there were no other contractors outstanding. This was the only one, and he candidly was forthright about that and what the approximate amount was. But as I said at the time, I think his intent was, when he got this check, to tender that payment to them. He went ahead and just tendered it and paid them. And I said, if you can give me something indicating that they've received that payment with their letterhead or email address and who's handling it, et cetera, so we can have that in the file. And that he sent that over right away as soon as they'd gotten it paid on Friday or whatever day.
Certainly cleans it up well.
Yeah, makes it simpler. We don't have an I-9 with that other name on there. That was going to create some issues. And I really hadn't contemplated, I did the indemnification, but I hadn't contemplated any form of additional payment. So we were going to have to change this thing. Or we had started to draft some individual indemnifications agreements for both of them. But that gets into a whole other step. So just thought this was the cleanest way to do it, since he was willing to pay.
I think that should suffice.
Okay, so then what we'd ask for is a motion to reaffirm the settlement agreement and issue the check directly to
Yep.
APM.
Yep.
I would make that motion,
I'll second that.
confirming the settlement agreement and allowing the check to be made directly to APM. Motion by Commissioner Mueller, second by Commissioner Becker. Further discussion?
Is it acceptable to tender that payment now? Because I know that he's very anxious to get it. Have it
I
set
guess,
up.
do we put that on Ashley then to?
I feel like we already have the check.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we just need to send it out.
Yeah, as long as it doesn't have any other names on it. Yeah,
Okay,
should
so
be fine then.
Okay.
We're good.
Any other discussion? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carried 5-0. Then could we do another early check? That we-
She was saying she already had
We already
one
have
last
it.
week.
We haven't got the check.
Yeah.
Dave.
We'll set you dropping
We
the
did the
banner.
early one last week.
Ah, okay, gotcha. We're just holding. Very good. Thank
Debating
you.
on whether or not the second name on there.
Thank you.
Put an envelope
Good
in
enough.
the mail.
Yeah.
Put a pin in that one.
Finally,
Yeah, we can.
unless Brad comes back and presents more to us.
Brad wants to
Don't
spend
bring
4
anything
hours
else
on the
back.
phone.
We can close that one out. Panzer is done. Goodness, that it was available for that.
Yes.
That's gonna take too long.
Yeah.
Just a quick report on the Diepenbrock transaction. Gonna get the closing scheduled just as quickly as I can on that. I sent him one last email to me. I want something in writing from him confirming that the flagging was sufficient. I know he told you that, but I want it in writing.
Yep.
And that he's satisfied knowing exactly what it is we're purchasing and what he's selling. I haven't gotten a response to that yet, but I expect I'll probably probably looks at that in the afternoon or evening. That's when I get a response. So
Okay.
I'll expect to get that. So that one I would hope within a week or two, we should have it closed. And talking with security first, just to go ahead and do the other part of the paperwork. I didn't see that as being a big problem. Unless they ran into something they hadn't foreseen, and I don't think that will happen. It's gonna take too long to do some of that.
I sort of like this, we're getting things accomplished when he comes early, so, and we put him up here early.
So now we're gonna put Counselor at the
Let's
beginning of the
keep him-
agenda.
Make everybody sit through it.
Yeah, Let's keep him
When we
going.
can still think straight.
Yeah, before our eyes glaze over. No, that's very good. A lot of loose ends get tied up. That's good.
What else? They're on board for him.
Yeah. Like I said, there's several lengthy ones.
Took 2 off, gotta put a few more on.
Nothing there, you can get 5 minutes.
In terms of that documentation we needed for the accident where they were coming in as
Yes.
cleanup. I talked with Randy this morning again. I think we've got that all coordinated. I left them a message last week, and we should get all of that. He's just waiting on the KDHE release, which we both want, to know that that was satisfactorily covered. I will hand these out informationally more than anything, because I don't think there's any action that we need to take at this point, but I want you to be aware of this. This is one of several current, fairly new actions with which we are dealing involving an accident. We've got another corporate entity who has not agreed necessarily with our stance on the process. Just give me one of those actions, so we have an extra one. So there's really not a lot more. You know, at some point, if you have a chance to read through it, if you have questions, by all means, let me know. But it's all been converted to our coverage through our insurance carrier. They're proceeding and processing, presenting the. We're actually in this particular instance probably going to be more the aggressor than the defender because of the way this came down and the way the police reports read and everything. We feel there's got to be some redress here. So one of the few times we may actually be pursuing someone else as opposed to being one pursued.
Any questions at this time? To digest?
It's a significant enough sum that as we talked about it, really felt like we needed to pursue it. I have several of those for another day, but I'm going to probably recommend to you that we pursue as well.
Okay.
So the definitive element of it is determining whether, our likelihood of success relative to the amount we're pursuing. And there's no magic formula to that, but I've done enough of it to have some sense of where I think it's probably worth our time to be involved. This being one of them.
Is the insurance company defending this here?
Yes. I monitor all of these, and they're really
Okay.
good about, the phone conferences. I got
Okay.
another one this morning.
Okay.
And they're good about making sure I'm kept apprised. And I'll probably start bringing those in since I now have a regular spot on the agenda and kind of giving you an idea as things progress,
Okay.
where we are and what's going on, in case you hear from a citizen somewhere that I heard you guys sued so-and-so. Well, yeah, we probably did. And then again, in a lot of the instances, it's what you're used to seeing, which is coming after us. But by all means, read through that, and if you have questions, let me know. I'll be happy to prepare a memorandum or something to kind of go with it as we progress on them. It's the only ones I've got that are short enough.
This is real.
These are all kind of fixed up already, so we're running along too. The Culvert Policy is going to take us a long
Right,
time.
I can't talk and get into that.
The road permits.
I think wait till prices here. We might get a little more next week.
Just need to have them already getting told that we don't have one.
And
We're going to tackle it
in that application. Yeah, we do. Wait till he gets here.
Yeah.
My version of that, I handed out to you and it's finished. I incorporated several suggestions from this board into it already.
Okay.
Still tried to keep it to a similar format as the Culvert, with instructions that are somewhat uniform, but given enough flexibility that there's a place on there for people to, those we're going to get the unusual, one-of-a-kind things. Well, my particular driveway needs this, so there's space on there for that to occur. But I wanted Bryce's input. But it's, as far as I'm concerned, it's ready to go unless he has more to say. He's had it now for a week or so, so I assume he's listening. And based upon that, I'll extend the policy. I drafted one, but I'm gonna hear from several of you. I know it's 5 pages long. I'm sorry. Every time I turned around, there was something else that came up, and I got several phone calls from citizens. And so I'm trying to address all that, but keep it summarized, and it's turning into a no-win.
Hard to keep those things short.
Yeah, that's why, the resolution itself, I think, does what it needs to, but now they're all, well, what about, those things? I get it. And they're probably gonna be case by case, but Bryce can weigh in on that somewhat, I guess.
Well, we still got a couple minutes left. I did forget a couple thank yous. I want to thank the Clerk's Department for a very successful Employee Appreciation Day. We appreciate all your work putting into it. I think it was a very successful day. We had a really good turnout from our county employees. It was the best day of the year so far weather-wise. And it was absolutely a beautiful day. Thank you, Commissioner Dahlke, for sharing the grill. No problem. And Commissioner Gehring for bringing the sausages, which were a huge hit.
Only taking it home.
That's right.
It was a very, very successful day, and we certainly appreciate what our county employees do for us. So, but again, thank you for all the work the Clerk's Department did putting that together.
Thank you guys too. Everybody appreciated it.
You bet. I think it was a great day. Also, last week we had gentlemen in on our agenda to talk about strategic planning and asked for each of us to write a mission statement. I summarized those and handed them out. I was very impressed.
Pretty consistent.
They were very consistent. I thought that was a very good showing from the commission and from the counselor and one staff member that was here. Good response. So yeah, it was a good exercise. I appreciate that. With just a couple minutes left, maybe we'll throw Travis on the grill first. And since we got a grill master down at that end,
Yeah.
maybe he's got something, if you would come up.
Sure.
Come on over here.
Yeah.
With a couple minutes, you could give us a quick update on the Hillsborough station. Everybody, of course, is
As we
anxious.
speak.
Yeah. Did you just fly back over here?
I'm dirty, my hands are dirty, yes,
See
we
him over
are.
there.
Yeah, so we're getting moved in today, work some of the bugs out. I'm sure there'll be a couple weeks worth of stuff we need to get yet and things we need to do, but, yeah, should be moved in, by the end of the day.
That's awesome.
Should be people sleeping there tonight.
Sleeping the other night, that's
Yeah.
right.
So, already had a couple citizens stop in, so I think that's gonna be a normal thing for a while anyway, to see the place.
You have a ribbon cutting before everybody gets their stuff everywhere.
Well, there's not gonna be much stuff everywhere.
Before it gets
We're gonna keep a pretty tidy place, so, and I'd like maybe a lawn or something before we go ribbon cutting out. Looks a little half done right now,
Sod.
but, yeah, a little sod, maybe somebody has a project, a little left over.
Get one of them spray rigs with the green cedar.
There you go.
Just sprayed green.
Right, right. AstroTurf. Yeah, that's an option, but
That's a really good option, not having to buy a
don't have to buy a
from-
mower, right?
Do you want a set of ribbon cutting?
What are we?
Let me visit with Tina.
What are we gonna do about the grass, though? I mean,
I don't know.
okay, I don't know that it's been on our agenda.
In all
What's that?
The grass, to take care of the grass.
They might have some topsoil.
It's in the time to
taken
plant
off-
grass.
Taking grass off the top.
It'd be
I mean, not
all-
unless you've got in-ground sprinkler
Right,
system.
right.
Shut that right out.
About an acre in here.
Just gravel,
Yeah.
Well, we just, yeah, we'll figure
and
something
we can
out.
spray it all.
You could do a southwest thing, just rocks.
Yeah, that's what I'm
Hey,
saying.
a fake cactus out there, so.
Then you gotta keep spraying it every year, 2,4-D,
Right.
keep the weeds out.
I don't think your question got answered, Randy, what we are gonna, I don't know. We'll figure something out here. I do know that the city planted grass on their side of the easement. They did a lot of raking, and I got some of the leftovers in our yard, but we'll figure out how to take care of that. So,
Figured we needed some mulch to it.
Wow.
rocks and trash, but we'll get that taken care of.
Talk to Clayton's, have him plan it for you, he's got the equipment.
Cool. Thanks,
Clayton,
Taylor.
police
Police chief?
It's police chief. He's got all kinds of neat toys.
Mr. Jeffers?
Yeah, we've had that
Yeah, that was-
discussion. You can,
Yeah.
basically, you'll take care of it.
I will.
Thank you. I think we're ready for the opening, see if we have that. Sure.
Okay.
Should have Travis do this. So I've not done this before.
I do have a note here that the flooring bid from Supreme has two options. One is to leave the asbestos tile in place and put carpet over it. Do they know more about that?
Don't, so maybe some of them, so, I was gonna see what the bids look like. We really may be surprised, need to back off of that. It's 9-inch tile underneath and it's asbestos. It's okay as long as it doesn't come up, we can cover it back up and move on. But the odds of that happening are very slim. We start getting into the carpet, start popping it up, then it's a full-blown remediation. And,
So we just need to cover it up.
well, we may just need to shampoo the carpet and move
There's
on.
carpet that's there.
Yeah, there's carpet there over the top of 9-inch
And you can pull
asbestos
the
tile.
carpet, it will pull the tile.
That is their, that was Supreme's thought, was the risk is there. And if we start,
Where's it in?
yeah. And I don't know what this commission has in plan for buildings, but it seems like that maybe isn't a long-term building that we need to put a lot of money into. So we shall look.
There's one with 5, 6 pages.
Did you allow the bids to go section 1, section 2, section 3? Is that how you allow it?
They're,
Yeah.
I believe that
They're all
to be
different
correct, Randy. I think the intention
Yeah, right.
was
They're all over the
that
place.
everybody would bid them specifically by section.
Okay.
Not everybody's gonna bid all
All
of
of
them.
them, right.
Yeah.
But yet I believe
You
there
can go
were
through
one or
them, and she
two.
said you guys don't have to award a bid till the 25th.
Right.
Okay.
So that we can compile it.
Okay, do I have to read it all?
I believe so.
Yeah, or at least accept, by name,
Okay.
accept their bid, assuming that it meets standard. I don't know what we've sent out to them, but if we have a bid sheet.
Okay, sorry about this, folks online. It gets a little complicated because we have a request for proposals and there are a number of different proposals in different categories. So I guess what I'm going to do at this point is just allow the commissioners, I'll read off the names that have submitted the bids and allow commissioners to review them and then ask staff to summarize. Sure. That'd be okay? The first bid is from Pet Carpentry, and that is for the doors and interior windows, replace exterior windows. A total of $2,000 in labor and $3,500 material. Remove and place exterior doors, $400 in labor, $3,000 material. Paint, $9,000 labor, $1,900 material. Carpet, remove and replace, $6,000 labor, $6,000 material. Okay, that total then comes out at $20,400 labor, $14,800 material, $35,200. And then the supporting is on the material. County seat, we have received their bid, and that is for the carpet, $7,736. We have a bid from Nelson Fowles Construction. Section 2 would be the carpentry, $2,591 to remove existing doors and frame. Item 2, $2,567, that's removing the window. Item 3, $3,318, remove existing windows, install new color windows. And item 4, remove and replace existing door.
This is only as to the electrical upgrade.
Right. And then we have a bid from Funk Electric for the electrical lighting upgrade, remove all fluorescent bulbs from fixtures and install LED fixtures, 116 bulbs. Materials, $1,109.79, labor, $1,680, for a total of $2,789.79. Final bid from Supreme Floor. One is remove existing carpet and install. The other is to remove carpet and the vinyl cover tile.
I wasn't paying attention on the first two. Did anyone bid the plumbing?
No, there's no bid. So,
Same much for spring.
sorry, Jonah had highlighted it, I didn't see it. The first one is simply removing and replacing the carpet, $8,232. The other one is removing the VCT with VCT, and that's $9,982. So there was no bid on the plumbing.
Suppose Travis just does it in-house?
Sure. I believe Sharon's on here.
Okay.
I think if, Sharon, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think maybe commission should digest some numbers and look at this and know that our intention was that the building is mostly empty.
Mhm.
The intention was to give a facelift, fresh paint and carpet, move on. A couple other small, in my world, small things, with some framing and some sheetrock. I guess if you digest the numbers and see what really should apply. I think the biggest challenge for me is the asbestos tile. If we were to get a bid on the plumbing, you're gonna be cutting concrete, we're messing with the tile again. And when you remove, then it's get everybody out of the office, tape, visqueen, the whole 9 yards. Sharon, can maybe work around if we don't remove a sink. We do have a sink in there. Sharon?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Travis and I both had a chance to talk about this before the meeting, and I agree with what Travis is saying. We can make this work for now.
And I don't want to put words in anybody's mouth, but it looks like this, nobody wants to spend $40,000, $50,000 on that building.
Right.
And we don't know what the future holds, but I think, I know what some of your guys' ideas are, heading into the future. You know, I think we would ask for direction from the commission as to how much you would want to spend. I think some lighting and some paint, some carpet cleaning maybe would go a long ways. And Sharon can work around the sink that's existing.
I think that sounds like a reasonable approach, and that the commission would, improving the lighting wasn't a significant number, and there would be some savings, some electrical there. Paint, again, would certainly, not a big ticket number, but it would help. Perhaps the carpet, maybe we just go with the cleaning approach.
Sure. And again, I'll ask you guys for direction on that. I'm happy to do whatever.
Was this doing both sides, I mean, doing your side too?
This is both sides, correct?
And the heating and the air conditioning's all right?
Everything checks out, yeah.
It's sufficient?
Yeah, the biggest.
Probably not all right, but.
Well, correct. The biggest thing was the windows on this east facing wall, are not very good. And so we get cold air, we get heat in the summer, we get,
Dust.
yeah. But again, if we look at long-term planning, where are we headed? I don't know if the windows would be something you'd still be interested in. I'm gonna let the commission digest that and look at the monies and see what you think.
Yes, Commissioner.
Would we let them look at the bids and kind of pick and choose and suggest what way they think we should go?
Summarize the bids, I think, first.
Yes.
Yeah.
Spreadsheet.
So if we'd spreadsheet them, and I'm just glancing at them,
Yep.
and what we did is an RFP, it is sectional. So
Yes.
if
Yeah.
we've got it all separated out.
Right.
We can spreadsheet that and then come back to you with that, and there's no reason why they can't be giving staff input on that at the same time.
Sure.
And then just determine the scope of what you want to do based on what those costs are.
Yeah. Is it?
I'd like them to work with Tina, I guess.
Sure.
Yeah.
Commissioner Becker?
We never really, I mean, we're all sitting here as laymen. There's a few of us that kind of know what's going on with this stuff. But, you know, I think as a commission, what we need to be doing is saying,
Yeah, I got two more here.
we got 25 grand to spend on this place, or we got 30 grand.
Okay.
You guys figure it out.
Yeah.
What you want.
I mean, we're gonna sit here and look at
Right, right.
18,
You're-
19 different bids
Yeah, you're
on this.
You're very correct there. I would agree.
I mean, I don't know how much everybody's thought this deal's gonna cost. We knew it was gonna cost money, there's no doubt about that. You can't buy much for 20 grand anymore.
Right.
I mean, what's our budget? I mean, I'm guessing this is gonna come out of general fund, you know, and so that should what concern us.
If you spend all your money, didn't you?
No, it's the leftover funds from the.
Try and be conservative.
I mean, I'm sure we could spend everything, you
Sure.
know, we could spend as much on this as what we did to buy the building across the street very, very easily.
Right.
And maybe still not get done what we need to get done.
Right.
Well, I gotta think.
But, you know, I think it's easier for department heads if you say, we've got X number of dollars we're budgeting for this, now you know what you got to work with. If this can wait, great, if this can't wait, you know.
What's the lifespan of the building, too? What are your plans?
Right.
Yeah.
I think we all figured it was a
I mean,
temporary.
I mean, it's still a usable building, and it's right
Right.
here, so.
Right.
Well, yeah, the property itself is usable. I just- What is the long-term goal? Is it to keep it there forever, or is it to?
Yeah, I mean, are we thinking it's gonna be there for the next 10, 15 years, whatever? If it is, it's probably worth spending some money on.
Okay, I guess I'm looking for some direction. Does the commission want to set a dollar amount, or do you want to wait and get the spreadsheet back and then
Yeah.
make a determination?
Yeah.
Let's have some more review of things.
Okay, I think that's appropriate. So I guess what I'm asking at this point is for Travis, Sharon, and Tina to summarize and prioritize, and we'll tackle it next week.
Sounds good?
It's a lot of information. Yes, Commissioner Daltrey?
And we've looked at this building a lot of times over the last 18 years that I've been here, and we've never come up with a real sound, go ahead, keep it, keep it, keep it. We've always said, do something else with this area over here. I agree with that, but that's costly too. And so, if you know, I don't know within how many years we could possibly put something together to build something out here to finish out our needs for Marion County. And, but that building's very sadly arranged and it's usable for maybe 2 departments now, like we're gonna do. But for this, we need the space if we're gonna ever do anything to make and it does not match anything. I've heard from the decorative people that it does not match anything that we have. So,
From the women, huh?
so sometimes I build things that don't match either, so. But I'm just saying that we need some sort of plan to put together here to figure out what we can do. We had a plan for a jail, but that was a very expensive plan, $7 million plan when we was looking at the jail and take the courthouse people out and put them over there with the jail. and so, for the lawyers and stuff, courtroom. So that was very expensive, but it was a double layer deal, so we gotta work ahead to sort of decide what our future brings here.
Yeah.
And I like Kent's idea of, let's pick a dollar amount and see where we can find it.
Okay.
Put that up for a max and see what we can do with it, because next winter, the air conditioners, or the heater's gonna break, and next summer, the air conditioner's going out, so.
Okay.
That's just a general feeling is what we need to do.
All right, very good. Got your marching orders.
All right.
Thank you, Travis.
Thank you.
Thanks.
You bet.
So we have another building project for you next week?
No, I'm about building now, so we'll get through this one.
All right. Thank you.
Yep, thank you.
Thank you, Travis.
Yep.
We built a new EMS over in Hillsborough. I don't know if you've seen that building.
I'm not seeing it yet.
Okay.
We're ready for Krista?
Brand new.
Krista?
Yeah.
Ashley, have you heard anything?
I haven't seen it.
Maybe she knows she's on the agenda.
They're gonna call.
Okay. You suppose Susan could come over? Get put you on the spot.
Susan's coming.
Great. We'll switch slots. We're gonna switch slots and move County Treasurer Susan Berg up, and that'll be followed by Health Department Krista Snyder. Hi, Susan.
Hello?
Sorry to put you up 15
Oh,
minutes, but.
You're fine. Are you ready for me now?
Yep,
Okay.
come on in. Appreciate that.
Oh, no worries. Hello? I sent the list of the people who received the majority of the letters. I had sent out a preliminary letter to the people who were in escrow first, explaining to them that 17 and older taxes are going to be applied to those taxes out of escrow. And then I sent the letters to the other taxpayers who weren't in escrow, but who owed 17 and older. And our policy is going to be that they need to pay these taxes by May 10th, which is the deadline for the second half of taxes anyway. That was kind of a natural policy, I think. And then I've talked to Keita, and my plan is to turn everything over to her last part of April, so for last part of May. So the 1st of June, by the 1st of June, she'll have the list.
Good.
Does that sound
Yes.
workable?
Is that statute 5 years? Is that's why you said 17, or?
It's 3 years, it's 3 years of delinquent, and so 2021 isn't gonna be delinquent until September.
Okay.
And so it's 17,
Okay.
yeah, it's kind of a funny,
Yeah.
yeah, because 20 is delinquent now, but 21 won't be delinquent until September, so 3 years from 20 is 17.
Okay. Thank you. That's
Yes,
good. I
good,
mean,
okay.
Can you say that again?
Yeah. So, because it's 3 years of the most recent delinquent.
Well, that answers a question that was asked me this morning. They said, well, how come some of it's not being processed up until the 4th and 5th year? Well, I did not account for the years, for the delinquency, what you're talking about,
Yes.
from 21 to 22.
Yes, it has to be be delinquent.
Yeah.
And it doesn't officially become delinquent until it's published in the paper
Yeah.
in September.
of the next following year.
Of the next year, yeah. So
Okay.
2021 will be delinquent after September.
Everybody can answer that question.
Good, good, yeah. And then we're also going to let people pick up 2018 taxes and be in escrow with the understanding that those taxes will need to be paid within a year, so they're not falling back into that annual cycle. Because I've told people that this is going to be an annual thing, and to, you know, just because they're gonna get themselves out of the jam this year, they have to be careful not to get into it next year. And we want to help them as much as we possibly can. And I think letting them back into escrow. Now, we do have separate policy for escrow. If you don't participate on a regular basis, there comes a point where you can no longer participate. But otherwise, we are open to letting people do that. And we've had people pay. With the first round of letters for the escrow participants, we had several people come in and pay that. We've had a lot of calls, of course. And then we've had people since then come in and pay. So, you know, this list is going to be less than what we have here.
So letters have had a good response then?
Yes, letters have had a good response.
They didn't know they were behind, or?
I think most people do. You know, it's,
Out of sight, out of mind.
it's, you know, it's tough. I know it's tough for people to get caught up. You know, once you kind of get behind, it's really tough to get caught up. And I can certainly, you know, sympathize with that. But the, you know, it's kind of the squeaky wheel thing, you know, and we certainly want to be sympathetic to, or empathetic to people in that position. But no one has called me yet and said, I didn't know. People called and said, I know, what can I do to work with you to get this taken care of? And I tell people, you know, we would like to have the money by May 10th, and, you know, if I tell them, I said it's going to be turned over to the attorney June 1, so. Because it'll take me a few days to kind of get everything pulled together for the attorney, so I want to give myself enough time to give her an accurate list.
I appreciate the process you're using, Susan. It's working.
Well, and, yeah, and I'm using the date of April 1. I figured it'd be easier than having this fluctuating date all the way through, depending on what day they call and what day they come in, and we're not gonna quibble over, you know, a few dollars. I think set up April 1, stick to April 1 until the next step, and it kind of gives them the benefit of the doubt, you know, of paying right if they got the letter.
Very good.
So, anyway, but yeah, the list, I think will be shorter. And then I sent letters to the severed mineral people that Sharon had been working on determining the severed minerals, and so that list went down. You probably saw that as well, where there's only 1, 2, 3, 4 owners and 2, 4, 6 properties, and so that helped a lot, having her do some legwork with that to determine what are true severed minerals. So.
Very good, more than that.
Well, they're, yeah, delinquent at this point.
At this point.
Delinquent at this point.
Yeah,
Eligible for the tax sale, yes.
So was the letter before or after you took the legalese back out? You know, the one we looked at, and then it was, I added all that to it, and you figured that was not gonna be something you wanted to send out to them?
Right. It was after. The main thing, I mean, I think it still has some teeth, you know, and when people call, I explain to them that this is the time for you to do this at the lowest price, lack of a better word, to do it, because the longer you wait, the more it's going to cost. So, anyway.
That makes sense.
Good, very good.
Okay. So
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Susan, I really appreciate it.
Oh, sure. I think it's going well, and I'm hoping that we won't have anything to turn over to the attorney, but, you know, hopefully it'll be a lot less than this. I know. I don't want to see anybody in this position.
Sure.
No. Okay. Thank you.
Now we'll have Krista. Hi, Krista. Sorry, we slipped Susan in.
No, that's fine.
Caught up in traffic.
Very slow driver. I have a piece of paper, I can pass those down, just for the quarterly reports.
I got one here really big.
So I just kind of made some bullets there. So I began the WSU Public Health Leadership Series in Wichita on April 7th. And it's the 8-day event that we had brought to commission before. Staying through June 10th. I attended a Governor's Public Health Conference in Manhattan, March 29th and 30th. And Wanda Manicom, she resigned on March 4th. Pam Holla was hired in her place. She began full-time on April 4th. So we're glad to have her. Sherry Moody, our WIC coordinator and registered dietitian, retired from the health department on March 31st. Charlotte Dirksen was hired to be the WIC coordinator and registered nurse in IBCLC in her place. She also began on April 4th in that role. Tracy Sabo, who's at Erie County at the Conza Prairie Community Health Center, is our contact that we've talked to about contracted WIC services for a dietitian. And they're working on a contract currently for us to sign and get that going with them. This quarter, I met with the school superintendents on several occasions to help them develop COVID-19 procedures and isolation and quarantine plans. We continued our COVID-19 testing for uninsured Marion County residents, county employees, and inmates. Marcy Hostetler completed her respirator fit testing for all the health department employees and provided continuity of operations tabletop training for our staff. Erin Hine, our Safe Kids coordinator, continues to work on Safe Kids Day. That's scheduled for May 28th at the Marion County Fairgrounds. And Erin also, in conjunction with K-State Research and Extension, had a babysitting clinic last Friday. Currently, we're experiencing a vaccine surge for COVID-19 second boosters and also childhood immunizations. We're finding that we're seeing the uptick of children that were not vaccinated during the pandemic. And so then at the bottom, I just have some quarterly stats. Since January 1st, we've provided 433 vaccines at the health department. We had approximately 1,025 COVID-19 cases this quarter. So that's about almost a third of our total cases. And currently we have 43 COVID-19 related deaths to date. That's our report today.
It's been a busy quarter.
It's been a busy quarter.
This is approximately 1,025 this quarter, so you're looking
Since
from
January 1st.
January 1st to
Through April 15th. That was a busy quarter.
okay.
New staff all settling in, and
We're getting accustomed. That's kind of been the other thing I've been working on is training Pam. Charlotte's done some training. She's done some off-site training at Harvey County at their health department. And she also plans to go to Erie County as well and sit with their dietitian. And
When you state in your quarterly stats 1,025 cases, does that mean a positive test, or what is a case?
so a case would be you'd have a positive antigen or PCR test and not within the 3 months prior to that. And so that's how many cases we've had since January 1st.
Yeah, because I keep hearing stories about people testing positive and not even knowing anything wrong with them, period.
Now, occasionally we have even seen cases of people, let's say someone had a positive test at the beginning of January and they were hospitalized at the end of January. They could still potentially be positive on that PCR test, but they're not counted as a new case. And we investigate all of those individually to make sure it's not a duplicate.
And are you recommending young kids and old people get shots now, or?
We're just seeing the uptick. I think people during the pandemic were afraid to go places, or that was kind of not on their radar. And so now we're seeing people come in for lifespan vaccines, which is great.
Just never had one before.
just that they may be kind of delayed getting vaccinated. You know, varicella, DTaP, which is tetanus, pertussis, polio, things like that, just regular childhood immunizations.
And we're not doing the dashboard or anything right now, right?
I'm going to go ahead and post today. We did have 5 active cases this morning, and we had not had 5 in quite some time.
It's too soon for Easter, isn't it?
It is too soon to be seeing the Easter cases, but we do have 5 active as of this morning.
I talked to the administrator, Marion Schools. They didn't have a single case on Friday. I mean, they were disease-free.
We've had a pretty good,
The rest of schools.
span of time that we were doing really well, that we weren't hardly seeing any cases at all. It's kind of hard to be accurate too with all the home tests, since those aren't reported, and people don't have to report those, so. I think the accuracy of our picture will be not as great moving forward.
Hopefully someday we don't have any.
That'd be nice, wouldn't it?
You know how many cases we had last year, first quarter?
I do not.
Okay, yeah. Don't want to know, do you?
I could find out for
No.
you, but I don't know
No.
off the top of my head. Does anyone else have any questions?
So appreciate your quarterly report. It's nice to keep us informed on what all's going on, and I think you did a fine job with that, so thank you.
Just glad you're fully staffed.
I am very glad.
Thank you.
Thank you.
This is an extremely unusual day.
Yeah.
We're still 15 minutes ahead. I don't suppose Isaac happens to be in the hallway.
He's online.
Oh, he's online?
Mhm.
Okay. Isaac, if you're online, we'll go ahead and move to you, if you're ready. There he is.
Okay, can you hear me? I'm actually on my way to the commission meeting now,
Oh.
but this will work. I don't have a whole lot, and actually what I wanted to talk to the commission about today is that I'm finally kind of got some information figured out, and I wanted to see if I could get some bids for two projects that I'd like to do on the lake hall. One of them would be switching over those fluorescent lights and going with what we got put up into the office last year, which would be the LED, same size, everything, just the fluorescent LED overhead lights, and replace those old ones. I have a couple of them that the ballasts are bad, and my options are either go ahead and replace those ballasts and keep the old lights, or just go ahead and get that updated, which it does need pretty badly. The other thing that I was hoping to get bids for, that I've got a couple of estimates already for, would be, I would like to paint the outside of the lake hall, our bathrooms that are attached to the lake hall, and the lake office. And my thought is, with the new heated dock and the shop that we have there on the west side of the dam, I would like to keep that same look going throughout. And I'm looking at doing like a tan colored building with like a brown guttering and trim. But with that lake hall building especially, there's a lot of things that are eventually going to need to be done and get it updated. But the paint's chipping. There's a lot of it where there is no paint even left on the building. And same goes for my office. And I think that it would give it a big facelift. And about now is the time that I would like to get that done.
Commissioner Dalkey?
I just think you got a good idea there, Isaac, about the tan, because just keep it running all through all of our buildings there would be a great idea. Got a good plan.
Other commissioners?
Okay.
Yeah. Get bids.
I see full support for getting bids, Isaac.
Okay, for both of those?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes, for the lighting,
Okay.
LED lighting, and for the painting of the 3 buildings.
that is correct. Yeah, the lighting will just be for the hall, and then the painting would be for my office, the bathroom there attached to the hall and the Lake Hall building.
Yep, yep, I think that sounds like a great plan, be a great improvement.
Okay, and that was actually all I had, unless you guys had any questions or anything for me.
Any questions?
Just look at your budget and see if you got any extra money to cover this.
Okay, well, I went through it, and I think we should be perfectly fine.
Okay, good. Paint's went up.
All right, any other questions or comments for Isaac?
Any of the trash dumpsters show back up?
We haven't had them show up. We're actually out painting those today. So hopefully we don't have any more issues with that. That one disappeared and we haven't had a problem since.
We stole a dumpster.
Yeah.
First thing
Took a
to do.
dumpster.
Anything else from the commission?
Yes.
Isaac, do you have anything else for us?
That is all I had for today.
Well, sorry to make you drive halfway in, but we appreciate you pulling over and
Hey.
giving us the update.
Okay, hey, that sounds good. I'll get this bid sent out and we can go from there.
Awesome, sounds very good. Thank you, Isaac.
Thanks, Isaac.
Thank you.
He just set it
Bye.
up, and the next morning it was gone.
Like a large,
Yeah,
Large metal dumpsters.
one they had
Once
to have the truck.
truck
empty.
to
Kind they took on.
Those are expensive.
Metal prices, metal prices are.
Probably stole a bunch of metal, and pushed it in that dumpster and took it all in one. So, can't, anyway.
Okay, we can hit the SCAD appointment next.
Do you want to make the motion since you actually were first on the talk to him?
Yeah, I nominate Matt Stiles to be on the SCAD board.
Do we have any others first?
Yeah, I would nominate Emily Kennedy. We'll pass these down. So we have 2 candidates for the SCAD board position.
I would second Emily. You need a second?
Yeah.
Pass it.
Okay.
I was going to second that.
Okay.
I guess you are, you're going, you have the second first.
Probably have 2 nominations.
We have 2 nominations.
Okay, Matt is
Matt is the city administrator, City of Hillsborough.
I move nomination cease.
Yeah, with the 2.
He,
And he's got WSU economic development background.
plus he knows some of the people on the SCAD board.
and Emily's from Marion, or?
Yeah.
She's a piece of Costello, she's the bank in Tampa.
Marion, Tampa. She's the
She works
president
both
of the
places.
Marion Economic Development.
She's real active in Marion's chamber and the MAC.
Kent, you're on the board too?
Yes, I'm at large.
You're an
This is
at-large.
This would be a Marion County delegate.
Marion County delegate,
You know,
okay.
Randy Collett served in that, and then Anthony Roy.
Oh, okay, okay. They're both gone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
College still in town, but Emily's, young. I would like to get more young people involved for the future. Some of us are getting old.
I see here if Kent's on as an at-large, and then we've got another person from another commission range, which she apparently lives in your commission, in your area, lives in Dave's area.
Yeah.
I'm not sure where she lives.
Actually, it's pretty close to mine. Well, she's in my district.
Is she?
I mean, she's from Marion. She married Charles Kennedy's son. That means anything to you. Chris Costello's her dad.
That's what it is. I guess, but if there's is there any further discussion?
No, I'm good.
If not, we'll take a vote. All in favor of Matt Skiles, say aye.
Aye.
All in favor of Emily Kennedy, say aye.
Aye.
I will. I'm voting to keep more districts. The reason why I'm voting for Emily would be to keep more districts involved than just one. That would be my reason for voting for Emily. I know Matt's probably got a lot of good things about him. I just think that maybe we keep more people coming in from all districts. Why it's a good thing. So.
And then I would ask the clerk's department to contact Skid and line up the necessary paperwork. Okay, we are half an hour ahead of schedule. Why don't we take a
I
5-minute
texted
break?
Bryce, and he said he was monitoring, so he'll probably come up.
Okay.
But you could still take a break.
Let's take a 5-minute break, and then we'll move into road and bridge. We'll be back at, it's 1:40, 1:45. I need to stand up.
You know the emails about
He's right there.
Washington? Have you been on the emails about Chief Washington?
So this conference is no longer being recorded.
I should have just sat out there and said, nope, I'm gonna wait for the public time.
My time is my
Well,
time,
now
and I'll be
being
there
recorded.
then.
Like you're always on time, huh?
Well, if I was first, I could jump right in.
Full 30 minutes ahead.
Okay. All right, we are back after a short break, and we're ready to move into road and bridge with Bryce. Before you start your report, let's wrap up. We had a bid from the city of Marion on that grader at $37,500. I think you were looking at a higher number than that.
That is a decision, I guess, I'll leave to you because I don't know what the other one as of this morning was at 21, 22.
But there's several days left.
It's
A lot of days
like
left.
9 days left.
Yeah.
So I guess the other thing is we could at least table it for a week or two and then
See what it comes out.
see. So
Kind of nice to see what that one sells
Mhm.
for.
So is commission agreement to wait until the others sell?
okay.
How's the other ones doing?
That's what I said, it's at 21,
I mean-
22,000. The Volvos are up, one's at 32 and one's at 29.
Okay.
Our pickups aren't doing real well though. But they are doing better than our V-plows. I think the V-plows basically are going for scrap, so, yeah.
Something by the pound, huh?
Well, one of them is, one was still 50 and the others were like 110, 120 bucks, so.
Lots of that to come in.
Well, that's what we were looking at, what would it cost us to haul them off, and,
Metal buyers are after them.
yeah. I mean, that's about all they're good for, because they, I mean, unless you really modify them for your sitting there.
How many did you put on?
4.
I'm open, but at the price of junk today, junk iron, I mean.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's worth us making a trip, and sometimes.
And I don't know how we could do that with Purple A, but if we're.
I don't know either.
But anyway, yeah, but I mean, that's what's, so.
You know, if, that's a good point, if we're
Hey, Jim,
If we're thinking about selling something that we think is basically junk iron, we have a couple of people in the county that,
Yeah.
that's their business, you
Yes.
know.
We did $4,000 just since last time we looked at
They,
it.
What's that?
they heard the bid, so they raised.
Oh, is that what it
they
was?
raised
Okay.
theirs.
Jumped $4,000 since
Yeah.
last, we just
Jonah.
looked at it.
Jonah's watching that closely.
Yeah.
The machine.
Yeah, you just never know, so.
All right, we'll let you move into your regular.
Okay,
report.
I guess to start off the formal part of it without the work session, following up on the landowner use agreement, looking at what Brad had sent out. The one thing that I guess is some of the issues that I see is having them submit $50 every time for this.
There was no direction to do it, I just threw it in there so
Okay.
we could discuss it,
Okay.
which is fine, because you guys spent time on this stuff, And we don't have an awful lot of these instances where we generate anything for
Right.
administrative applications, and a lot of counties do.
Yeah.
And so I put it there. That's gonna be a policy call for this board.
Part of it is to go out and review, I mean, I get it from the electrical side. Because if you issue somebody to do something, then they gotta go.
Yep.
They gotta go review what you did, make sure it's up to par, so it kinda gives you.
I don't care, I'm just saying, I have been contacted by probably 5 people already, asking about all this stuff. I said, well, we're still working on it. And then the other question was, is this for, because I guess I'm kind of asking for direction or whatever, posing the question, because say for instance says, well, under this permit, I want to be able to trim trees from here to here. I want to be able to blade 5 miles of road. How are we going to put all that in there? And basically what it comes down to, in order for me to properly follow this up, it's going to be quite a bit of time just to follow all this up. So I guess, do you want to do individual things? Do you want to give them it's to say that, well, we'll give you permission to do whatever you want to. That's not what we're after either. So just, I don't know, I guess looking for ideas there. You know, does that include mowing, tree trimming, and for people that like take care of their grass out next to the road? Technically speaking, they're on the easement and.
It does. That was one of the ones that I've gotten phone calls about. You know, we got a lot of people who get really particular about the mile in front of their property. They may go that far, you know, clear from one corner to the other on a section. Others just kind of cut it off after a certain distance, and they've been doing it for 30 years.
Yep.
Why do I have to come? I got an earful on that one.
Yep.
Why do I have to go get an application? Well, because we have to apply equitably, and we are not going to probably turn you down. I spray it, I seed it, I do it, great, but
yeah,
you know, we still need to know what you're doing, and that's you're hitting the questions, and that's the reason for this discussion. Is I thought I got to have someplace to start from, and then have you see it, because you're going to field these, and what we do with that is it by the project? Do we say, you know, if it's along this mile line, you're going to be able to come in here and ask us for permission to do a lot of what would be landscape kinds of facets of this, as well as on your driveway dump some rock to avoid having such a drop off, or you know, all of that. I don't know. That's where I was commenting earlier that I've got 5 or 6 pages now of a policy to go with that resolution. It gets it unwieldy very quickly. So
yeah. Well, I guess just to hit on the lawn part first, I just cannot imagine trying to get a homeowner that mows their ditch in front of their house to come in for a permit.
Yeah.
I think we need to exempt mowing on owned property, or owned property adjacent to the county easement. Because there's lots and lots and lots of people around the county doing that.
And would that then be attacked under the policy?
yes,
Okay.
I already put it in with that anticipated. After I got off the phone with one lady, I put that paragraph in. So
Yeah.
we're not going to get anybody to be very happy with us about that.
Vegetative maintenance.
Well, I can call it, I mean, there's a number of ways I can
Then
go
you
ahead
can
and
deal with
identify.
trees that way.
Yeah,
Those trees is another whole ball.
but
here's my question though. You're saying property adjacent to the road, is that every piece of property they have? Or just their house?
Homestead.
and then I'm going to have to define that.
Yes.
Yeah.
So like I said, you want guys will, you know, if they have property or grass right next to it, they'll go mow all that grass all the way around the property,
So
so.
we have people that have underground sprinkler systems.
Yeah.
All the way out to the edge of the road.
Yeah. In our
They've
easement.
been knocked off a few times.
Right.
I'm like Brad, I've got so many calls. I had one, had 2 people actually that said they haul silage. And when they're hauling silage, they said, do we have to get a permit just to fix the road if something falls apart? Because they haul all kinds of trucks, heavy trucks, and so they said, we would rather just be able to have the permission to fix our own road than to call you guys out if it's a weekend or whatever else. So.
Well,
Which I
might
get,
might
you
start
know.
working.
It's just that we have a problem like you experience. Some of them may not fix it at the same standard
Yes.
that we expect, or they leave a latent defect, or, you know, some kind of instrumentality that causes an accident, and then we're stuck. So I'm not sure either. I mean, we've got to attack it somehow, but
Nothing?
So we're gonna take a pause for audio.
the system's not working.
Instead of a,
I didn't touch it.
instead of a PowerPoint moment, it's a microphone moment. We have to start doing sign language.
Might be the USB.
I don't think that.
Oh,
You can still hear everything.
Saying I can still hear everything.
Okay.
So it must be.
Oh,
It's just
okay.
the one that's not working.
Sorry to interrupt. We'll go back to where we left off.
Good. Anyway, so I guess that's, you know, and going through here, and then we give them 2 months to complete that. If not, they have to request a extension. Well, how long do you give them an extension, or is it something to where they don't ever approve it, so then it never gets done right? We have to go back in and fix it, just, you know.
That's where I agree with Commissioner Garing that if you could do a definition of vegetative, like mowing and trees, it's just an open end. Now, if you're going to actually go on the road and do something, there needs to be a start point, I would think.
Well, but I mean, you know, a lot of those guys are gonna run a batwing mower up on the road and do their ditches.
Right.
So,
But that actually gets the vegetation spread and kept in the ditch rather than
well, but I'm
the
saying.
single one that throws it up onto the
Yeah.
road.
Like I said, I don't know, and I don't know, it'd just be nice to see what Brad had for that.
Yeah, that's all part of I was talking with another county, not their legal counsel, because he had no idea they even had one, but.
Our legal counsel, you mean, or sorry?
A policy of any kind, and theirs was really not formalized very well. Matter of fact, they want ours when it's done. I'd like to.
Sure.
That's not gonna happen.
Yeah.
Anyway, but the backwing mower, you know, this guy had an expensive machine. Something caught his attention. I think somebody was coming by, and he took out a power pole.
Oh, wow.
They had a 6-month argument over who was gonna pay for that. Whole thing, so it's an example of where we get into a bind.
Yeah.
I'm trying to figure out where we start, where we stop with this.
Yeah, big tractor.
It's no different than the old concrete right-of-way markers.
Yep.
Half of them are broke too,
Yep.
because either from the farming side or the ditch side, either one can get
Yep.
hit, so. Anyway, well, I guess if you could get that
Do
list or whatever else, yeah.
I was kind of hoping you were gonna come up with all the solutions, so I could just write the policy out with all that in place, since it's coming through your office, but it sounds like, you know, it's getting kicked back to me. Is that what I'm hearing? Yeah.
We do what we can.
So how long is it permits good for?
We set it, I just threw a number in there. I put 60 days on it to start with, because most of this stuff is
That's
fairly
the mow-
immediate.
The mow your ditch?
Well, no, there, you're right, it's a good point. I was thinking of, that can be seasonal. Then that gets back to this
So you just
definition.
come back every year and pay $50 to mow your
Well,
ditch?
see, that's, yeah. I mean,
That's one of the questions I got.
Yeah, like I said, it's just.
I think that needs
Yeah.
to be open-ended.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
anyway,
or
that
you
was just,
make it in kind type. So if you're, by mowing the ditch, you're actually saving us $50 or more.
On any road that gets mowed.
Well, I can set it to waive that permit, but I think I'm just creating problems for him. Because the minute you do it for one, you might as well figure we're doing it for
well,
everyone, or just not have a permit.
and that's the other thing, is, okay, in kind, everything they do out there is gonna save us $50. Trimming trees, mowing.
Right.
Whatever the case may be,
Well,
so.
just for that.
Unless they do it wrong, and then they're gonna cost us a couple of
Commissioner
thousand.
Dalton.
Do we have a complaint, do we have anybody that's causing complaints to Marion County over mowing their ditches right now?
No.
We had that motorcycle.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Had what?
Mhm.
What he said, it's illegal for us to be mowing the ditches and throwing the grass up on the roadway.
And that was for the county, not the individual.
He just needs to wait a couple hours.
We're fighting a problem we don't need to fight. Let's just move on, we're about past mowing and let it be.
Yeah,
I'd like to
we
see
can limit it to road maintenance. if we just
Road
wanna do that.
maintenance is what?
I just worry that we're gonna get something that's gonna be a
Oh, yeah.
problem with that.
Well, like I said, I've got 5 people that have asked me in the last 2 weeks
You
about
can't
it.
protect yourself from everything. When
Okay.
they're lawyers.
So.
That's
okay.
job security.
I guess we could visit next week again if you wanted to. If we get, if Brad sends that thing out there, maybe that would.
Yeah, I can try to just take what I've got, knowing that these are suggestions. Everybody can look at it and just cross through pieces of it.
I'm still getting a pretty strong sense from the commission about, and I like your term vegetative, because that's mowing and trees. But mowing and trees has a tremendous benefit to the county. It's year-round. If there is some way of separating that out from
And if they wanted to mow
physically being on the road
if
without.
they wanted to
getting-
mow their whole section, then is there a problem with that?
Let's just talk the typical lawyerly question.
Yeah, here we go.
I've got somebody with a 36-inch, and some of those ditches that we have, the grade on those is noteworthy. And I still watch some of them. The one guy had his foot, he was going along and used his foot to keep the thing from tipping over.
Yeah. Called
One of
English.
these days, they don't get that done. He breaks his neck, he's in the hospital. Where was he when this happened? Let me think. He's on county property, sanctioned by us to do it.
Will I have to go along with a waiver?
Or some form of an indemnification form. And I know that's a headache. I know that you're gonna look at me and go, you've gotta be kidding me. But I've gotta find something, now that we've started this, it's not a problem for me and to keep it. I agree with you, just do the road maintenance. But we probably ought to have at least, if there's no permitting for that, we say, you know what, this has just been something that's been done forever. We don't have a problem with people continuing to do it, but we need it. You assume the risk, you sign the indemnification, you can mow all you want. The indemnification would be broad enough that it would include this, you throw the grass out on the road and somebody wants to sue somebody, I can do that.
Yeah.
That may be our simpler solution. It'll cut several pages out of this.
Indemnification without paying a fee.
Yeah.
But you could circumvent the fee by signing the waiver indemnification.
But I couldn't agree with Randy.
Well, if they don't sign the
Need to
waiver,
pick
they
our
don't get
battles.
the,
Yeah.
they can't do
Yeah,
it.
you've got to decide what hill you want to die on, but I think that
This isn't the battle to pick.
you
Whoa,
want to be somewhat equitable with this, because I know if we allowed indemnification on
People are
that,
pretty picky
right
about
now,
their
it's
yards.
in bold in there that you show proof of insurance. And we have reasons that we want that done on road maintenance. The minute I say you can sign an indemnification, well, I'll just sign one of those, just like the guys cutting the grass for the work I do on the road.
Now, I do know, just throwing this out there, when I worked at Department of Roads, they contracted mowing the ditches. And it was actually a contract that they had to provide insurance and stuff to that effect too.
Yeah, that's
So,
an independent contractor. We can, most of these people are not gonna wanna sign the whole
Right.
agreement just to cut that ditch area in front of their house. So that's what we get into, and that's why I don't have a perfect solution for this, and I can tell you no one else does either. Because I thought if I could plagiarize one, that'd be great, but there's not a lot of that out there.
A couple bad actors.
Well, I know that the society we live in nowadays, you're lawsuit happy.
So litigious.
I don't think the county's ever, for all the thousands of people that mowed ditch or something in front of their house.
Never heard of an
never had a
accident that caused that,
problem.
yeah.
Like you said, this is a different world that we live in.
But it's no different than our trucks driving up down the road and they throw a rock and people say it was our truck. Well, was it?
Yeah, I've got one, I need to come see you about that.
I think you asked me about
I
that
did.
last year and the year before.
I did, and
So,
the windshield still isn't fixed because
yes.
I wait.
I think I saw the rock, it's laying out there in front of his office.
I picked that up, it's in my car, in a sealed bag.
Well-
They had to come up with county truck.
Yeah. They, to move on with that, the other thing we discussed in the past was the Culvert Policy.
Right.
Did the commission come up with a, do we want to have them pay for the entire culvert? Can it go up in a 30-foot like we have in the past? Anything above that? What's your direction? I've got a lot of people that are waiting on that answer, so.
And our past policy has been,
We've put in a 30-foot pipe, up to a 30-foot pipe
Right.
at no charge to them. Anything above that, they pay invoice price for the extra. Now, obviously the price with that's fluctuated so much, so typically when we do that, we just call up that day and say, this is what the price is gonna be. You know, people kinda squirm a little bit about it, but I've got one guy said, I'd like to have a 60-foot pipe, and I said, I bet you would, you know, but it's at what point, and you know, it comes down to the idea of, I can tell you right now, that's one of the hottest things we have going right now is replacing culverts, because everybody needs a bigger culvert to get their bigger equipment in, and
You don't charge for your time, just for
No,
the,
it's,
just for the pipe.
right.
Just for the pipe over 30.
For the pipe over 30,
Yeah.
yeah, so.
And is this replacing or is this new?
It doesn't matter. We've always said just if we're putting in a pipe for 30 foot, or, excuse me. You know, I like to stick with 24 inch, but we've gone down to 18 before, but I don't like to go any smaller than that because they plug up so easy.
Right.
But anyway, the comment was made last time that pay for the entire replacement cost, so.
I'd be in favor of the staying with where we're at right now.
30 foot.
And charging for the extra.
Okay.
I agree with Ken.
And give them free labor to put the extra in.
Well, it's not free, it's prepaid. It's part of our.
Well, I mean, you're not gonna charge anything out of the
Yeah,
30
there's
foot.
nothing free, it's always prepaid
Yeah.
somehow, you know, so.
Plus,
Yes,
we don't-
Commissioner Dalkey, you're deep in thought.
You're gonna do that on just a replacement, but a new one, if they want 2 culverts in their area, you're gonna pay for both of them?
I'm just talking about
Okay.
their one access or whatever.
Well, but see.
If they
the
want 3 more accesses to their field, now we're talking something different.
Well, and now that, I look at the fact is that, we had the issue down there where the guy wanted 2 or 3 inches in the same field, and I said, I can't justify that.
No.
You know, to drive, you know, granted it was a quarter mile field, or a half mile field, but at what point do we start putting in pipes just for the convenience of those people, you know?
Just one per section or something?
Well, I always look at the fact is, what I try to do is I try to put in a dual entrance as much as possible. At the half-mile line, we can justify putting in a 40-foot culvert if it's used by both landowners. So they both get the benefit of it, and there's really no extra cost for us, because otherwise we put in 230s.
Yeah.
So that's what's nice about it, but again, it brings up the issue, what access, if it's a house entrance or is it a field entrance, like I said. The other thing you look at is, say they've got a waterway running down the middle, I need an access on both sides. So that's what I'm getting at, is there's so many, just like the road users, there's so many different options, but I mean, I don't care either way. You know, we get the pipes considerably less expensive than they can buy them themselves. They also think that, you know, these culverts should be putting, I pay taxes, therefore the county should put in culverts for me. But again, that's what I'm facing. Most of these culverts are 20, 24 feet. And, you know.
Stick with the old, with the 30-foot, pay for the extra pipe on the first field entrance, the second field entrance is on you.
And completely discretionary at your review, that's the way it's written.
Okay. Okay. And because I did have one guy down on 40th. He wanted to have, he has a driveway, a U-shaped driveway for his house, and he had a rental house right next to him. He wanted another entrance. And I said, I can't justify that, because the other thing was he wasn't able to turn around in there. He would have to pull in and back out. And I said, that's the last thing I want is somebody backing out on the roadway if possible.
Plus, if you look at statutory, we at least have that to back us up. These minimum widths, you know, even if it's on a county road, we're just matching what state does. And 68-543 sets that all out with so and so much distance between them where they're not gonna happen.
Yeah.
And you can't even get a waiver or variance on that. I tried for a business once before that was on Highway 15, which happens to just go through Newton. And so they couldn't do it.
Yeah.
So that's already in here.
Okay.
And then if we would pay for the 30 and anything over that on the initial installation, it's on them, right? I need to put that in here. I didn't, because we hadn't determined that yet.
We're getting closer.
Well, like I said, it's
Each
just
additional entrance would be on them.
Completely. That's the way this is done.
And I like the way you worded that, because it's by parcel.
Yeah, that's defined in here as well, because we talked about that element of it and what it needed to be.
Okay.
So you've got a couple of adjustments you're gonna make.
Yeah, I did not include that price intentionally because we hadn't made that
Right,
final
right.
determination.
What other decisions do we need to make on that policy to get it?
I think, it's basically, for me, this one wasn't too tough.
Right.
Because it's done, otherwise I just wanted to be sure.
Right.
There's not a maximum, like if they want to put 6 in a section that they own all of, but they're gonna come in and apply for each and every one and have it approved, and then, that's their cost.
Well, and part of the reason why they're doing this too, they know what pipes are costing right now.
Yeah.
So, that comes into play, because this has been 3-4 months ago, a 24-inch was $60 a foot.
Yeah.
So a guy said, yeah, I want a 60 foot, and they said, well, we'll put in 30 and you pay for the 30. Nope, he goes, I rent the property, I'm not putting that kind of money in there. So, anyway.
But it's all.
That's the other thing for lawn care too, is we have a lot of farmers that, lease property.
Oh, yeah.
And all over, and
Yep.
so.
It's too late now, it's buried.
Okay.
They want to take care of their lease too.
Okay, any other issues on the culvert policy?
I think the culverts, that's pretty much.
Okay, then we can get a review next week and
Yeah,
get that in place.
you've already got the original draft of
Yep.
that. gave that to you several weeks ago. I'll make these revisions and have that for next week.
And Bryce, you've got the guidance you need?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. Got a call from Doyle Weeby, 320th and Bison. He is receiving complaints from his truck drivers getting to and from his facility. They're coming in with 53-foot trailers and stretched out tractors, probably touching 80 feet long. What he heard was the problem really wasn't the 320th and Bison. When we looked at it today, we really couldn't see whether there was a problem. We could see one had driven over the top of the culvert, but you could see no one had swung way out wide off that way. So I think they handled that. The biggest issue is up on top of the hill where his driveway is, in there. We have a 40-foot, we put a 40-foot pipe in there for him. The road is fairly narrow there, so the guys are complaining that they can't get these trucks in and out of there without running over the pipes, things like that. So my question is, there's a couple things that we could do, is to, probably I say the best choice would be to put a culvert straight across from his driveway, and just fill that area in with rock and stuff like that would allow them to pull a little bit farther out into the roadway. Or we could try to widen the road a little bit. The other thing that these guys face is these are really nice trucks. They don't want to get anywhere off of rock or whatever else. They're worried about all that stuff. So I guess my question is whatever we do out there, is that really something that the county should be involved in, or is that something more for the business to do? Yeah, but it brings out the issue that it's now in our right of way again also.
But they could get the permit, have a culvert put on the other side and widen the road.
Okay.
You're just gonna open another door, you know this, right?
Well, and I just, like I said, I don't want to cause this problem.
There's a few other places where a culvert on the other side of the road and.
Well, and then of course.
Is gonna help them get out.
But that brings up the issue then, is that their responsibility, even with a permit? And I would think it'd be a business thing, but.
And again, the way I've written it up in here, they can use contractors with our approval to install it. I thought about that because that's come up and I've had that asked of me. But everything I've done so far, that's their cost.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that you can't do it the other way, but at some point you open a floodgate there, and I'm not sure what you want to do.
Most of all this just needs to be so you know what's going on out there.
Yeah.
Part
There's
of
no
the
surprises.
Yeah, Loyal and I actually met out there and we looked at it, and he said, well, the reason that when we redid the road, he made a pretty deep ditch. There's a lot of water that runs down here, and it has eroded in the past, so you want to make sure to have good ditches. So it's tough to make the road even wider and still keep those ditches. So, but the road narrowness, I think, will take care of itself. It's just getting these trucks in and out. And again, I'm not even bringing up the subjective call of truck drivers versus truck drivers. You've got some that'll make anything work and others that can't make anything work. But anyway, if that's something you want, I can get back with him and discuss that with him.
How many trucks today?
From what I understand, it could be several a day, semis and everything, so.
Final approval comes to Bryce, so
Yeah.
no matter what happens, contractor puts it in or whatever, final approval.
That's what the agreement basically says, so.
It's the whole goal of both of these, whether it's the maintenance element or culvert installation, is some level of county knowledge and control. So that when we go to our carrier, when something happens, we can say, you know, we do maintain some level of quality control over this, and we've got paperwork showing that. That's a huge element of a defense for us. There's nothing perfect, but it's about the best we can do.
I think that would, you know, every operation's running semis now.
Well, and like I said.
I could see where that would definitely open up a floodgate.
They get
Now-
bigger.
Everybody's gonna want culverts on the other side of their driveway.
Well,
Yeah, because
now-
that'd be handy.
Yeah, now the other thing is, it's like Willard, you know, they could come down Alamo, which is a very nice rock road down to 320th, but it's dirt coming on the way, but it's actually wider and flatter and everything else. Well, they're gonna want the rock road. So, but anyway, and they'd have to do something with the entrance anyway, because then they would be pulling up against their fence. But anyway, okay. Motor grader. Trying to cover everything that we would need the official, not in the work group. Oh, you talked about Lincolnville Quarry. I guess in the past, we've always said no because it had to be state approved rock. I have not heard back from Scott. I assume that Scott is not going to get his certification if he can. I guess my personal comment would be, I'm guessing that rock would be fairly similar to what you would find at Harshman's. Similar ledges, things like that. Again, it's my personal opinion, not knowing exactly what's there. I can tell you that the rock that was used on 290th that did come out of there did not seem to perform as well as the regular rock. But again, that's kind of tough to say when you're dealing with a lot of traffic and a lot of heavy traffic. It would be beneficial to be farther north up there instead of hauling all the way down to Florence. So you're looking at some fuel, labor costs savings. But I guess I'll leave it up to the commission on what they want to do.
I guess I struggle seeing trucks from Quarry and Florence driving by the Lincolnville Quarry. And again, there's uses for rock and different grades of rock, and I understand that. But would there be some way that we don't have to haul every load of rock that goes in front of that quarry from another quarry?
Well, and again, I have not.
I'm just asking.
Yeah, I have not talked to Scott to see what he's actually making. I'm sure he would make, you know, somewhat of whatever we would want. You know, so he would definitely help that out if he could sell it to us. But yeah, I mean, I understand, and honestly, from the Lincoln Lost Springs area, it's about as far to go to Harshman is to go to Ham at Woodlawn. So it's all that trucking cost, not to mention the time. I mean, we run trucks back and forth there. You're looking at an hour and 15, hour and 30 minutes just round trip. So yeah,
I think just from an efficiency and fuel savings, we
Well-
have to look serious at doing that.
Well, then you've got Morris, Chase, Dickinson County, all rock out
Yeah.
there.
They all rock out.
Yeah, in fact, is Morris County had 40,000 tons that they hauled out last year.
So I guess what I'm asking is if the commission would at least give the road county engineer the flexibility to use it where appropriate.
In favor.
I mean, does that?
It's saving us money. Yeah,
But-
and like Kent said.
Lots of
I
money.
mean, when you're looking at the fuel cost we're facing
Yeah.
now,
Yeah.
just that alone,
Now I can
plus
also
the time they'd save.
most of the other people that I've talked to, when they call up, say, I don't care where the rock comes from, I just want some rock.
Is it just Band-Aid rock?
Well, yeah, for the most part. I mean, Band-Aid rock, because, I mean, we're trying to use rock as sparingly as we can simply because of the volume that we need to do, which is, I was gonna talk in some of the other things about ways that we can try to, you know, change that. But, you know, that's the easiest fix, especially if we get floods or whatever else.
Yeah.
We've gotta get some kind of a rock over the top of there because people are getting in and out of their own houses. Or
Price per ton, same with Marshall?
have absolutely no idea because I have not talked to him about what we're looking at.
Maybe
Now-
we could get a,
I would assume it would be similar, but I'm also, just my guess is probably a little bit less because he would not have the he would not go through the formal process of the certification or whatever else.
That part, now you're holding Harshman's to a standard, that you're not holding this other person's.
Well, again, like I said, that's where it comes from. We could also go down to Harshman and say, you know what, we don't need certified rock. So we could in turn get, I'm not saying it would be, we could get a lesser grade.
Cheaper, so.
I don't know, I just don't wanna open a can of worms, cause what I've seen from the gray rock, it outperforms everything else.
It does, and that's, but
And
again,
it-
if we go down and get that, it's.
yeah, but
still-
that's only a small percent of what we're getting out of Harshman anyway.
Right, but it's still there.
Sure.
And the other stuff that got laid down, not more than a mile away, is gone.
I guess it still comes to me to use, where it's used, how it's used. And at this point, my understanding is you cannot get any rock from Lincolnville Quarry. From
That's
the
what it's been in the
commission.
past, yes, that's correct. Because the commission said they wanted to have certified rock and they are not a certified quarry.
Right. So in order for you to be able to use it for any use, the commission has to change that policy.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
I'd kinda like to know what kind of a price break we'd get on it too.
I can contact him, you know, like I said, Scott's great.
At this point, what I'd be concerned about is just opening up the option. And then it would be a decision on whether the price is balanced and are appropriate for the use. But at this point, it's not even an option.
If and when we need it.
You can haul twice as much rock in one day. I mean,
Yeah, and twice as
some
much
places.
rock at less cost.
Yeah.
So is that a written policy somewhere, or is it
That's
just
what
an
I know.
action?
No, I think that's just
Is it an
a-
action taken?
Yeah.
an observed directive.
Just that chair.
Now, the other thing is I can get back with Scott, find out what the plan is. I know they moved equipment in there. I don't think they've sort of crushed anything, but I could find out, you know, what he could make for us or whatever else. I know that Harshman's is set up with a tremendous crushing operation and scales on this. I don't know what Burkamp has up there to work with, so that may limit what they're able to make without rerunning it or whatever else as well. But
Commissioner Dolke?
We have Worsted sitting here today, and, you know, the company that did the north one went in and built the roads. They put in 8 or 9 inches and built the roads and stuff. And I believe all of that was hauled from Harshman, if I remember right. Most of that was hauled from down Florence. I mean, they went around the roundabout and dumped quite a bit on the roundabout, quite a few times.
That part of that history was they started hauling from Lincolnville, and then they were required to pay for the road to the quarry.
Yeah, some of that, yeah.
I believe that's
Well,
what the commission actually.
yeah,
So that added a little expense, so that made it more
Harshman wanted
affordable
to, not
go.
Harshman, but the Lincolnville Quarry wanted to help maintain the road too, go from Lincolnville east. But anyway, this company is gonna probably do a lot of us good too here. So, you know, keep that in mind, what we got in the future coming. And, see what you see what they did up north. I think this company will do as good, if not better. So.
Again, I think that comes back to allowing the county engineer to have options.
Yeah.
It's still his call on what rock goes where. That doesn't mean the Lincolnville rock is gonna be hauled to Gosel to be used as a cap rock. I don't think that's gonna work into his plan. It's where where the price makes sense, like Ken said, where the use makes sense.
Price and where you're using it,
And how you use it.
what
But
the
it would really,
circumstances are.
really help out that corner of the county where we hear a lot of issues. I mean, that turnaround would just, then we don't have an excuse.
well, I mean, if you want, I'll get in touch with him and see what we can come up with and go from there. like I said, I don't know if they've started yet or not, so.
At any point, I really don't want to get away from the direction I'm going towards the harder rock, but if anything was entertained, it would have to be the SS5 or better.
Yeah, that's what we
It
would
can't
recommend.
have any AB3 or any
Nope.
junk. We got
Yeah.
plenty of that in the road.
Well, and the reason,
Clay.
yeah, and the reason I say that is because if you now get away from state approved or state certified rock, there's a difference between state AB3 and commercial AB3. AB3 is basically, commercial AB3 is basically what's ran in and what's left, that's what they load out, so.
And we've got, I mean, our soil makeup is clay. We've got
Yeah.
plenty of AB3.
Yep. And honestly, that's, when Orsted was talking to us, they said, well, we're gonna put on AB3, and I said, absolutely not. You know, we have to go with something much better. Size-wise, I think, and they've been great to work with, so. Okay, I will follow up with them, Scott, as far as that information, and then maybe help you make that determination.
Thank you.
Okay? While Wanzak is here, well, actually Orsted, but Wanzak is there, so they have requested to use the northwest corner of 110th and Sunflower. That's a mixing strip. It's the old radius for Highway 50, way back when. It's had millings, it's had cold mix, it's had rock, it's had everything piled out there in the past. They would like to use that for their batch plant. They would actually go farther out into that private field because all we have is the curve right through there. So I didn't have a problem with it, but I wanted to make sure that the commission didn't have a problem with it too. They said they would reclaim the property or whatever we wanted to do.
Okay,
So-
Commissioner Dalkey.
Well, we're thinking of this corner, the owner on the other side of this intersection, straight to the east, has requested if he can cut the trees and clean that property. That's the other curve.
Okay, right,
The other
right.
side, he's requested to cut the trees and clean the property up on that side, just for his farming operation too, so. It's two different issues, but, I mean, we're talking about the same intersection right down off of Sunflower and 100.
Well, that'd be a safety issue too, I think.
Yeah.
So that's good.
Yeah.
Good news.
But,
I would think it's compatible use with what it was being used for.
Yeah, they still have to go through all the permits
Sure.
and all that other stuff too.
Right.
They didn't realize it was county property, or that county easement going through there, so.
And just one batch plant, not two?
All they said was batch plant. Do you know any more detail?
Yeah, so that right there would be, be used, for, batch plant, and then, that's what, they instructed, and so we worked with that private landowner, that said, a corner of it is within county right of way, so that's kind of what we will have a discussion about.
All right.
From what it sounded like, the amount of concrete, and things like that, I wouldn't anticipate two batch plants, but I don't know. We could follow up with them on that.
Well, for this year's probably just one.
Yeah, they're working on a few, key ones right now, but most of the work would be later on this fall and into next
Right.
year, so. But anyway, I just
Okay.
wanted to make sure that you guys were okay with it.
Commissioner Dalkey, wouldn't that be a good cycle? You know that area.
Yep. Okay.
Very good.
Um,
Oh, okay. Commission consensus then would be, yes.
Okay. Something else I would look at, is due to all the stuff that's going on, I would like to maybe request a new position as a technician, per se, under me. For the reasons of, when we went to the North Central Kansas meeting up there, they talked, you guys remember hearing about the pavement management system. I think that's a wonderful thing to put in there to keep track of our pavements, what we've done in the past, what we're going to do, stuff to that effect. It's actually a computer spreadsheet that's been made. So they could work on that. The other thing that I think that I've been looking around and haven't been able to find anybody yet is for construction inspection, not based on a consulting firm. With the construction inspection would be not only for the wind farm, they could be the person on site. I still have to be responsible for that through the agreement. That's all, but that would be fine. And then I could also have them if we had more contracted projects like the one we did on 290th. We could have that. The other thing that would come into play is the documentation for these permits. For these, following all over the county. Like I said, I think for the first hit, for the first several months, whatever else, I think that could be pretty hectic until that kind of settles down. But like I said, that's going to take a lot of time, the way it is. They can also help us with dig safes, because I know putting in culverts, Steve runs all over the place, several hours a day, going out and looking at all these things and calling in dig safes and stuff like that. And then we could also make it a backup truck driver position as well. So just something to think about. I can come up with more.
What kind of qualifications would this individual need?
I would be looking for somebody that has some construction background experience. Based on that stuff there, maybe either contracting experience or permit experience, inspection experience, some sort of government experience, maybe with the paperwork and everything else. I really haven't come up with exactly that point yet. But I mean, we've always been very, minuscule on the upper management peoples to try to do that. The other thing that I always get hit was, well, you guys are never out in the field enough to see this person's doing this and this person's doing this and this person's doing this. Maybe that gives myself and Steve a little more time to do that too. Obviously, we're always trying to work with those employees. It just never seems like we get out there to do that. So,
what happens if you put this job up and an employee ever bids on it?
And a what?
And an employee of yours bids on it.
Internal
employee.
Well, I guess what would the problem be?
I'm just asking.
That'd be a good thing.
Well, I would think so. I mean, I'm gonna open it up to anybody as far as that goes.
When you first started off, it acted like to me you wanted some outside.
I want the best applicant I can, whether that's inside, outside, whatever else is. I don't want to go to the issue of the sheer cost of hiring inspections, like for the wind farm. That was crazy amount. We can hire these consultants to do this other inspection too. We don't need that. I mean, we don't need a full-time inspection. The problem is talking with Tina, I thought that I was under the impression we could just hire somebody as a contract employee, but she said no, they actually have to have their own firm, they have to have all this other stuff. So there you start paying again for all that overhead. Where if they were a full-time employee, we also have a tremendous amount of plans downstairs that we really need to go through and not say get rid of them, but digitize them or something else. We finally found the list of what was down there. Nobody ever knew. They were labeled, nobody knew what the labels meant, whatever else. Well, they finally found the list buried in there somewhere, so we actually found that out. But anyway, like I said, that's just something that I'm looking at. And I don't know what the salary would be, but if you look at what it's costing, I know I've contacted other counties and got their position descriptions and things like that. They vary all over the place, which is pretty common. But it's just something that I think would be beneficial for us in the future.
I guess I would ask the commission, is there interest in having the county engineer pursue, investigate, and bring back to the commission?
Don't we need somebody here in the next 30 days?
Not next 30 days. Well, I can handle what they're doing now. The problem I'll get is if one of these contractor jobs come up, plus a wind farm, and they're all over the place down there, that could take an awful lot of time. Yeah. I mean, and again, I'm not saying that they require inspection all the time, but we just got to make sure things are. But there's just so many things that are going to be going on to look at.
They're 10 miles apart,
Yeah.
So I guess I'm first trying to gauge interest or support from the commission for the position, and then have you build the position and bring it back from.
I mean, I can put together position description, stuff to that effect, if that's what you want to look at.
Okay, I've got a temperature of 1, 2, 3.
I think you need to work in a some sort of field instructor into that position too.
Hey, what?
Field instructor, so that way as you have turnover, you have somebody that can come along and
Something to look at.
bring up to speed.
Yeah. One of the things that
I know it's gonna be hard as a tech, because that doesn't really fit in the field, but
one of the things that KDOT come up with here, and they've actually kept it, I was kind of surprised, about 10, 12 years ago, they basically came up with a district mentor. That basically went around, all the offices, worked with the new people, got them kind of, so I think that was really well accepted. It was, I'm kind of surprised they kept it as long as they did, but, so, yeah, I mean, that's all something we can work on, so.
Well, with Diamond Vista, we had independent engineers looking at our roads on a daily basis, of which we got around that with the committee
Yeah.
per se.
Right.
But, with the knowledge that this county has limited resources, maybe the wind farm would, on a short-term basis, help us with that position.
Yeah. Just DJ write a personal check here, and
Yeah.
we'll good to go.
Yeah, I'm not,
Sure.
I'm just,
Since you're here.
if you've been around other projects and you've seen the type of independent engineering that maybe was involved with the roads on a county level or somehow, those numbers got to be pretty large.
But part of the reason that those got to be so excessive was, I believe, that they were working 40 hours a week out there, 40 plus hours a week, and I don't think that's needed. I mean,
Yeah.
I think that's, and not only 40 hours a week, but I think the minimum charge you were paying was, what, $100 an hour? For that,
Yeah.
put their overhead and everything else, and that's just crazy.
Yeah, I mean, this would be kind of a bargain set of eyes. I hate to say that, but
Yeah. Okay, well, I'll try.
that might be something that we can talk further with.
But,
Okay, I think we've got commission support to explore the position, bring us
Okay.
back a more
Yep. Okay.
detailed position description. We didn't put that on there.
Okay.
That's good.
The only other thing that it didn't have to be discussed with the full commission, we put the work group, whatever else, had to do with roads, building, and I was gonna talk to you about the parking lot out here as well. But, I think that's pretty much it for full committee. If you want to go on with Brad or.
I know Tina's not here, but do we need to select the projects for the bond?
Well,
Do we have a
that's
formal action
going
on
to
that?
be another lengthy discussion as to which ones you want to go to, when, things like that. And if you want to go
Have to
into
know by
that.
the 29th.
Okay, so we've got another week. We can talk about it in the work session,
Yeah.
and, because we are very good about waiting until the last day.
Carpe diem.
Never done that before.
Okay.
have we?
seize that day.
Well, I think after our discussion,
Okay.
maybe we'll have that.
Very
one.
good. That's good enough.
I've got a lot more information on the roads and stuff. Yeah.
Very good. We'll gather it. So anything else we need decisions on?
One more thing for Brad. Did you ever find out, I'm not kidding, find out anything more about the NRCS ability to flood our roads?
Yes.
Okay.
And no, they don't have that ability,
Okay.
at least as I'm looking
Okay.
through that. Maybe there's something, in terms of a different reference source they want to provide us, but
I don't know.
after you and I talked, I dug into that for quite a ways, much more than I would ever have wanted to. I don't find that authority.
Okay,
to
well, like I
exist.
said, I just, whoa, you're gonna flood our road, that's a very major road
Yeah.
there. and-
Yeah.
Or the possibility of it, let's put it that
And
way.
again, I also thought, well, okay, maybe there was some type of an agreement that was drawn at that time that we just aren't aware of. I find nothing.
Okay,
So they need to, if they want to do that, they're going to have to produce some substantiation for that foundationally.
yeah. Well, I think the biggest thing is they're gonna have to get through Sharon first.
Yeah.
Before they even get to me, because she had all sorts of things that were.
Yeah, we talked.
Yeah.
That's it. You're right. They have to get through that process, and then at that point, you can smile and say, I'm just the go-between here, you.
I'm standing
contact-
behind Sharon going, go
Yeah,
Sharon, go.
well, we're just, at that point, you know, if she's tired of it, she can tell them to contact me, because I don't need proof that they can
Yep.
do what they're proposing.
Yep. Okay,
Anything else in action, Bryce?
not that I can think of.
Okay, we're gonna shift gears for a little bit. You have Counselor his slot on the.
I think
You covered?
we're covered.
Really?
Because it was, these
Wow.
last two were the ones.
Really?
that- Yeah, we did all of it earlier.
Really?
You know, because I've been here
First
for
of
the
the
meeting.
meeting.
Wow.
Then we did the culvert and.
Wow.
Deal and yours, so.
There's gotta be
I thought-
something.
I thought in that stack there was still at least one.
Oh, there's more, but not that I was planning on today, that I was gonna distribute stuff, because I thought
Yeah.
you had this
Yeah,
work
Bryce
session.
is tight. He doesn't want our eyes to glaze over yet in this work session. Well, if that's the case,
Oh,
yes.
I would like to request executive session for 5 minutes
Okay.
for employee
Performance.
performance. There you go.
I move, you said 5 minutes?
Yeah.
I move that we recess into executive session in order to discuss employee performance pursuant to KSA 75-4319B. For item 1, personnel matters of non-elected personnel performance with the commission, Brad, Ashley, Bryce, for 5 minutes from regular. Let's see, let's go 2:45 to 2:50.
240 now.
Well, it's 2:45 real time. Oh, 2:40, sorry. 2:40 to 2:45.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Gary. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carried. Thank you.
Go on.
Thank you. Cool.
Thanks.
Have a good day.
I'm putting myself out.
I thought we need another break.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because basically, this is the agenda.
Oh, we will.
To an executive, or into a work session, where at this point, we don't have to have action.
Okay.
You gonna leave me?
Forgot about that. Knew I was gonna have to go sometime. Gotta go back and check.
See, I had the ESP to say that you need to.
Like that meeting in Hillsborough
Yeah, I think it's at 3:30 though.
that he organized.
This conference
Oh,
will
yeah,
now
there
be
you go.
recorded.
No.
Okay, we are out of executive session. No decisions
Okay.
made.
That's in 1 minute.
Bryce, did you have anything else in official?
Nope.
Okay.
Just one thing, something just triggered, I'm thinking about, way back when we talked about Burr Camp Rock, as Butthole Rock. Remember you bringing it up? So there was some sort of authority to use it.
Yes.
For,
And I remember that it was for an immediate,
Yes.
whatever it was.
Yes.
Yeah.
But we haven't had that situation.
but that was,
Because we-
that was taken by the board. and-
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because we've had several places where we.
Clearing that one up.
Yeah.
Just
You need 10
had the wheels turning for a while, and then
Yeah.
all of a sudden it clicks.
All right, wrapping up our regular session, any public comments? Since we have no one on. Two-turn left us. Commission comments? Okay, do we have if we have not, we have a motion to adjourn and then we'll move into a work session.
So moved.
Okay, motion by Commissioner Garing to adjourn, second by Commissioner Dalkey. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carried. We are adjourned from our formal commission meeting. We now move into a work session, which Brad and Ashley are voluntarily, do not have to remain. But if you
Doesn't
like.
that really
excitement-
make you disappointed that they don't want to listen to this?
That is not true.
Not true.
Definitely want to listen, just don't have the time.
I did forget something. The APM payment.
Handled it.
Well, but I'm saying, I know, but I mean, I don't think it's been paid because that should have come out of the Ross, or has it?
It's
We
going
have
to.
a check.
Oh, okay, okay,
Made it send it.
okay. But I guess if you're taking care of it, not a problem. I just wanted to make sure that
It's
they
going in
weren't,
the mail that
Step
morning.
aside.
that they weren't,
Take 5 minutes.
Do public hearing.
We're done.
Yeah, you can shut that camera off.
This conference is no longer.
see you guys. Talk to you Thursday.
Excuse us. Thank you. Just let me know when you guys.
Okay, thank you, Ashley. All right, we got everybody. everybody back too.
Everybody came back, woo!
All right, just to let people online know, we are starting our work session on roads.
Well,
Just the commission and.
Orsted has picked it up very, very nicely from Expedition Wind. Expedition Wind did not want to have a repeat of that either. Orsted is, we told them right off the bat, we're not going to do that. So. Okay, start out with, I would like to bring up something new. Everybody else seems to be talking about buildings, so I will bring up a building too.
Actually, you have brought it in the past.
Yeah, there's a copy of each one of those for you. I had a plan drawn up, just some idea of what we're kind of looking for. Obviously, the things we've talked about in the list, which I still have the February 4th notes on there. Everybody gets them. Talking about the advantages of what we're trying to do. And obviously, you look at what our facilities are. Now, I mean, I think I saw the building was 1942. I know, but I'm just gonna try to cut down on that. Nobody's out there. Sounds like the attorney's out there.
Get Mark out there too.
So anyway, now these numbers are approximate, but basically you're looking at what I'd like to do is have an 80-foot wide building. And that would basically allow us to put 2 trucks with plows, 2 motor graders face to face there to work on if we would ever need to, or get them out of the weather, or whatever the case may be. So again, on that page 1, it talks about if we built on the current ground, we'd no need to move the truck barn, fuel tanks, and other buildings. I am all for moving outside to do something like that, but it's going to cost us an extra $1 million. By the time we put up a new building for the truck storage, we'll have to move the fuel tanks, the sign shed. You know, like I said, I have no problem, but that's just an extra $1 million. So, also free space up in the basement for the administrator, or whatever the case may be down there. It's one thing that's very frustrating for me is that when people come in there, even if I don't want to talk to them, I have to talk to them because they see me sitting there. You know, it's really hard to do to stay working when people come in. Granted, we don't get a lot of them. I have no problem with it, but you know, so it'd be nice to be able to get a little bit of break there. I put a 40 by 60 conference room in there. Now, for those of you that have ever been over to Saline County, to their shop out west on Airport Road, that's about the size of what they have. It's also about the size of what 1/2 of the Lake Hall is.
But the state has a nice conference room.
It's a little smaller than that, which, and I'm not saying the conference room is a necessity, but we really don't have a good place for conference room, you know, having good utilities. You know, I heard Isaac talking about trying to remodel, or doing lights out there. I think the internet really suffers out there too, even with their new, the new thing they have out there. But anyway, like I said, just throwing that in there. Part of the discussion when I first made these up was that could also be used for the health department if they had a shop fair or whatever else, if they had to do that in the so, and then I talked about, obviously, with the 2 trucks, the 2 plows. Talked about putting the other 2 issues that come into play is the storage for the emergency management. Not only their big trailers, but their smaller trailers. I did see where you have to start paying rent now at the, so we could do that. They'd be able to put all their trailers in there, and they would have that. We'd also incorporate a wash bay, because right now we wash everything on that slab east of there. It runs down into the ditch, and any kind of grease or oil or whatever else that we may have on those machines is there. Not a good situation, but that's what we've had and we've had in the past. So based on that 240 foot, which I've had several iterations, we own the property basically up to the White House on the south side. All that grass and that brown field. We actually have 2 lots out there where it was actually surveyed and it was marked. We actually own that oak tree or walnut tree, whatever it is. It's kind of hard to believe we go that far south. I would not want to go clear down there because I built a buffer space. One of the options that I have on here was putting the storage for emergency management down there, so there'd be hardly any noise be there for storage. Like I said, we talked about the health department. I could use a conference room as a shock clinic. And emergency management, we could put them in the basement. The other thing that's good about that is basically a storm shelter, tornado shelter, backup EOC if they needed it, whatever the case may be, being in the basement. And then we could also put some climate controlled storage down in the basement if that's something we needed. With the digitizing plan and whatever else you talked about, those are just options. But like I said, that's just what we're looking at. Is this a high-end expectation? This is a wish list? Yes. Is this something we can pare back? But looking at, and again, I haven't got prices. I'm guessing we're probably in the, going to be in the $200,000 for every 20 foot. So if we're looking at it would be about $2.5 million. Now the other thing that's come into place since I've had these there is we're talking about finding a place for the health department as well. Thought about one of the ways that we could help and it'd be done a little faster. My first plan was to build basically a new shop, put all the storage, the wash bay, and a couple bays, build that first. Then we move out of where we are into there temporarily, tear down the rest of the building, and then I could build the other half, or whatever that may be. Well, in order to help out that situation, if we could do that, may not be the emergency management, but we could move the build part of the building down there with the health department in that area. We could still put emergency management in the basement, or we could put something else upstairs. I mean, the whole point is, if you go vertical, it's not as much as it is spreading out.
Because you're gonna have to go tall anyway for your shop.
Well, that was our thought. We'd have 16-foot high walls going all the way around. Now, at one time, I checked into wood. We can actually put wood trusses. We can span 93 feet with wood trusses. Morris County actually went in and built their shop with all wood frame, put metal on the outside of it, saved over $1 million. Now, that was 10, 12 years ago. He put 34 inches of insulation in the ceiling. It's just incredible. Yeah, but all something to look at. Right now, I don't care if it's metal or wood, prices are through the roof, availability is in question. One of the things that I would like to do though is if we could get concurrence on doing this, is I could get started and at least get the concrete and the foundation, stuff like that done while we're waiting for these other materials. We don't need to really hire anybody to do this as a construction manager. I can handle all that. That was another reason I want to talk about if we got this other employee, that's something else that they could work with. It's just a matter of getting that information out there to get suppliers to give you the quotes and everything else, to get back at that. We could obviously save quite a bit of money by doing that. But anyway, getting back to the fact is if we put the health department at the south end, we could actually make a drive-through stall right there that they could use for drive-through shops, whatever else. They could also store their vehicles in there, because they've got a couple trailers and things like that they could probably do that too. And then we could continue on with the storage for emergency management, or however that may be. I basically set it up on 20-foot span, or 20-foot steel spacing, whatever else is, because that would give us 16-foot wide doors, which would be able to pull anything out of there and not have a problem whatsoever. We'd have some of those stalls that would be completely drive-through. The emergency management, we could do the same thing so that they could just pull their big old trailer right on through there and not have to worry about backing it up all the time, because that's kind of a booger. So anyway,
one person.
Yeah. But like the plan is, if we were to build that south half first, whatever configuration that would be, then tear down the other building. The other thing that I'm facing up there is our electrical is haphazard, to say the least. I'm gonna, if we don't do something in the near future, I'm probably gonna have to replace a bunch of sewer lines. They're so corroded, and some of the walls, they even collapsed. We have to get a guy to clean out the sewer about every 6 months. So we've got there, it still doesn't deal with the issue of the wash bay, and things like that. So now as far as funding, that's the other thing I was kind of trying to figure out. Obviously, if you're looking at a $2.5 million hit or whatever we come up with, is where does that money come from? I don't have money rolling in, but I was just wondering, you know, and from what I understand, the pilot money cannot be budgeted for an item, is that correct? Okay. Even though that money is available, we should have the money from the wind farm down here, which I don't know if that's the same thing.
It's same, you cannot budget.
Okay, gotcha. Now, and I didn't know what things were like as far as the property taxes. Those are kind of tough because they could vary, sales tax as well. So obviously, I think part of the biggest thing that this has never really gone many other places is that money, whatever that may be. Now, I guess I'm open for, I mean, obviously, if you want to do it all at one time, you probably go after the lease purchase, whatever else, like you did at the transfer station, whatever that may be. I'm just trying to advocate that, I mean, we're working with an 80-year-old building that we're trying to, you know, to work around. So, safety-wise, convenience, whatever else. Thoughts?
First thing I see is that I don't want the health department up there when the mechanics are revving bolts in the trucks.
Well, what we had talked about was keeping them separate. That was
I understand
definitely-
that, but I mean,
Yep.
it's just noise and
Yep.
stuff. You know, other thing is, you've got the lots, you know what you got, how many feet do you have from the front edge to the street, how many feet do you have from the back edge of the building to the alley, and do you have that all laid out here?
Yep. I actually
is that
have,
sufficient?
Trying to think if I had a whole bunch more. The brown building up there now, where we short tires.
Yes.
This building being 80 foot wide, and setting at the, whatever that dimension is to the street, would be, the dimension to the street would be about what it is right now, with that building. And going back would give you, I believe, 16 feet between the back of the building and that brown shed.
You want to leave the brown shed?
Well, that is, my original plan was to leave it, but I really don't think it'd take much to unbolt it from the foundation, haul it somewhere else, and put it back down. It's a nice building to have. We wouldn't necessarily have to keep it.
It's a nice slab in the transfer station. How big is it?
Yeah,
24 by 24. We store our tires and stuff like that.
Well, I've
Of course,
seen what
that's
you do. Yeah.
that's the other thing is, gee, at Christmas we've been waiting for 9 tires for like 10 weeks now, and they said it could be another 4 to 6 weeks.
Don't
So-
have the store.
Huh?
Don't have tires to store.
No, well, yeah. I mean, you know, the reason they had so much storage at the time is they used to buy tires on a yearly contract.
Yeah.
And was you looking at the basement to be, so you could be for safety's sake, so you could get money that way? Is that why you was looking at a
Yes.
basement?
Yes.
Can it be above ground safety building?
I would imagine.
I'm, as over here, Kent knows I'm against putting the hole in the ground for water. I mean, just like the transfer station's got.
Where that came from was I actually talked to Randy and I said, for emergency management purposes, you know, could we do that? He says yes. He said there is funding for that, but you can't even talk to him about that until you're ready. I mean, it's not like we build it and then go back, hey, can you help pay for it?
It's gotta be
Can't do that.
no.
But what his thought was, and a typical emergency management person is, if you put it in the basement, tornado goes across the top, it's probably still there. That's what he was looking at.
El Dorado built one, the walls are 2 foot thick.
Yeah.
It's above ground.
Yeah. And you know that, and again, I'm not, what I'm looking at is I'm just trying to throw as many resources as we can in one spot, you know, to fix a bunch of things. So, and like I said, you know, we can pare that down, but you know, ever since I had those drawn, there's been so many things that have been talked about, and you know, obviously storage, especially for these, you know, big trailers and stuff like that, and even the trailers sitting across the way, there's an awful lot of trailers sitting over there.
Or if there was enough ground straight south of here to go start a whole new building and not worry about the old one.
Straight south as in?
That would be move you would have to move the truck deal, and that's a cost.
You're talking about the south shop?
No, straight south of here. This is straight south of the courthouse. There's a piece of ground down here that's in the bottom that's probably available. I haven't checked yet, but I just looked.
You wouldn't want all the traffic downtown every morning.
Well, I don't think that's much. Where are you talking about down
That's
here?
just 2 blocks south of the.
Oh, that Atmos building?
No. No. It's south of that about 2 blocks. There's a guy in Newton, owns a gym. Well, he owns the rental sheds too.
Oh, okay, gotcha,
Yeah.
okay.
But it's a flat piece of ground.
Yeah.
It's
I
all
don't-
down there and right there. Where
Yeah,
it's
I don't
easy
know
to access.
how much area that would be. I mean, and again, we've talked about going out to South Shop, but we can't go out to the South Shop with any kind of emergency operations because it's in the floodplain. That's why they couldn't put the transfer station out there. It's because you have to go through the floodplain to get to it.
It's closed 2 days a year.
That's a bunch of BS. is all
Well,
I'm saying.
yeah, I mean, I understand that too, because in order for the water to get that high, you're talking a huge flood.
Yeah,
But that's what it is.
Well, I know in the past, I've been talking for a while, but the thought was, we need to get away from the elementary school.
Right. Now, along with that, you look at, if we do move out and what do they do with that? Davey's still got his property right behind there too. And I don't think he's planning on going anywhere either. So it's still got a, we don't have a lot of kids that go walking down that area. Most of them are on the east-west up there, so. But, I guess that's what I'm looking at, is whatever we may do for funding, whatever else the funding's a big issue. But it just seems like no matter what we do, this just never really gets enough oomph to get going.
The issues I see is the shop is to the point of being dangerous. It's
no
a
doubt.
hazard. It's
No
not
doubt.
safe. It's a safety issue that has to be dealt with. Bryce hit it on the head. The reason it doesn't get addressed is it's expensive. The other thing is there's 2 schools of thought. The ideal world would be to move the whole thing, whether it be to Canada, whether it be southern Marion, move it to a different location.
Industrial park goes out of the highway.
And then that is the reason nothing ever gets done, because then you look at the price tag, moving the fuel tanks, moving all the truck storage, moving all the other things that go with the main building, goes with the shop. So I guess it comes down to me, is the first decision is, if you're gonna replace the shop, you're gonna replace it where it is, or are you gonna commit to a $5 million project to move the whole ball of wax? And that's my question, and in the short term, that shop has to be addressed.
Yeah, I mean, I would love the fact is to move out somewhere and, make a nice location. If you go to Sling County, man, they have lots of room out there, I mean, it's a nice place, but again, there's cost.
My goal is I don't want to be sitting here doing what we're doing today, trying to fight space. We don't go get a big enough area for space, and just what you, or somebody just said, space.
And in my mind, Canada, you're completely out of town.
Yeah.
You're completely out of the traffic.
Completely out of the country.
You're in the center of the county.
Is there any area out there that's big enough?
Ultimately, what it's gonna come down to, you're gonna have to buy a piece of property somewhere.
A couple houses.
Yeah, well, I mean, and Randy had talked about moving out to Canada too, because he'd be centrally located. With that being said, but I mean, another place to look at is like if we could get a pasture, like out here on the way to the county lake, just off of 256. Nice little pastures there, as long as you didn't encroach on the airport or whatever else.
Not by the lake.
Okay.
Not by the lake.
But I'm just saying wherever that may be.
Okay, then I'm bringing that question back to the commission. If we start with a greenfield site, a new site, are you gonna commit to the money to do the whole project?
We've gotta find out where it's gonna come from first.
Yeah.
That would be my preference, but.
Can you do another sales tax to build something?
We're already talking about doing a bond for roads.
Yeah.
I don't know, man, you gotta be really.
Pushing the probably the cash.
Tell you right now with inflation, you bring up anything about any kind of tax, you're gonna get
It's a
some
bad
bad
week.
Oh, yeah. And that's where the argument comes back to, just as it has every year. Not enough money to do that, so are we gonna continue for another 5-10 years in that shop and someone get injured, someone get hurt?
The other thing I'll throw out there is, other than, fuel tanks, yada yada, everything you got, but Hillsborough would give us a lot.
Hillsborough would give us free. Maybe Marion would too, I don't know.
Well, Roger Holter has offered us the property on the north side of the transfer station across that street. I think he said like 6 or 7 acres.
That puts you back in the
They
flood
took
zone.
that back. They
Yeah,
took
I
us-
think.
They took us back last time
Okay,
from the, after the transfer station, they took it back.
okay. Well, anyway,
Unless
he
he's
just,
done this lately.
oh, it was last year sometime.
Yeah, I think they took it back.
Okay, but anyway, I just said, you know, that it doesn't help our access really being down there either, and then we're bound by whatever they,
Still blocked in.
yeah. But I guess that's the question is, I mean, you want me to go out and,
Access to where?
well, getting back to Main Street or whatever else, you know, taking,
To the highways.
yeah.
Yeah.
So conceivably, we need 3 acres,
At
4
least.
acres,
Well, we're gonna need more than that.
At least 5
because-
or more.
Yeah,
5 or more acres.
yeah.
Okay, I still see 2 opposing arguments that butt heads. We have an argument for agreeing
Well,
with
Dave,
every
guess
site,
you
but
can't-
we have an
Just what
argument
Nick
for
said,
not spending $5
if you don't know the
million.
money, if you don't know the location, you can't do nothing. So you go out and find a location maybe, and then see what's available. See, let's ask the city, Mary, let's ask the city of Hillsborough and see.
I just hate to
Yeah,
just go
'cause-
back right there in that spot.
Because your most expensive, most logical thought, most expensive, is gonna be Canada. Because you're gonna have to buy somebody's
You're gonna buy
2,500 to 4,800 acre ground.
And all new utilities.
Yeah,
Yep, they got utilities.
so that's your most expensive option.
That was one reason why the ambulance shed didn't go there, was looking for utilities.
Right.
And then we found this one up here. But
The next one would be one of the cities, grant us some ground, help with utilities.
Yeah.
Then the least expensive is going to be his plan.
Now, just throwing this out there, we already have the 10 acres of land out the Port Farm.
But no utilities.
But, yeah, but that's gonna be, I don't even know if there's rural water out there.
Utilities roughly gonna be, well, this was a year and a half ago. It was about 40
Well,
grand,
there's gotta be-
4,500.
there's gotta be power running to the-
45,000.
Yeah.
There's gotta be power running to those houses up down there.
There is,
but-
yeah, you
but I
get
don't
well
know.
water out there,
But you ain't gonna have
whether
three
you can
phase.
get enough.
I was gonna say, yeah,
Ain't
you'd
gonna have
have to have,
three-phase there.
yeah, you'd have to have upgraded.
You don't want to go to a place where you don't know if there's sufficient
Yeah.
water.
And,
Well, the city of Peabody's water comes right down Canada Road, which is a mile off.
yeah, but I don't know if they would be able to, well, I would say absorb those, because I do know
Yeah, we
when
got
they,
plenty of storage.
well, what I'm
Water-
saying is, but when
water
they,
number 2 comes down 56.
We don't use that much
You're
water.
right.
It goes all the way to East Shore.
Water's not a big commodity.
What's that?
Marion would give
Water's
us
not a big
out there.
commodity for you.
No, but still, I mean,
Electricity
you're
is.
probably, you know, in order
Hillsborough would be
to do there, we'd probably have to have
district.
I'm guessing, what, at least a 4-inch line?
Oh, if they want.
Just run it as far as you are, losing pressure and things like
EMS
that.
there.
Anyway, I mean, but
Put
that's,
us somewhere there.
and it still comes down to the fact is that takes care of the land,
Okay.
but we're still talking the buildings, and probably more for the buildings, simply because of, you know, okay. If we're around a Marion or Hillsborough, utilities are gonna be a lot easier to come by, you know.
And your tanks, if you're in, you gotta move your tanks right to where you are, because they can stay across the street where they
But
are.
Hillsborough wouldn't like to put tanks
But-
in. from
but
the-
what-
No,
from
but
the
if we-
regulations.
Epps is just right over there.
But if we moved our building, what good was it leave the tanks here?
Right.
We'd have to have tanks out there wherever we move, because we use 80% of fuel probably.
Right at the shop.
Or do we keep the tanks here and just put another set so everybody in town can still use them?
Yeah, because
Possible.
technically the tanks are on that side of the street. Right?
Yes.
So you're not.
But then that doesn't really help us much either, because my trucks need to go well, as, you know, basically the only thing to be left would be the gas pumps. Now, whether that property, the other thing is, just throwing this out there, if we move our building, would you wanna move the weed department as well? I'm not saying it's the best location, but then they're gonna be there by themselves, surrounded by houses.
The weed department needs to be at the transfer station if we stay the way we are someday.
Yeah.
Yeah. It needs
But
to
anyway, I'm
migrate.
just throwing, but again, it comes down to the idea of, you know, we're talking money, either way you look at it, I mean, like,
I really think if we could find a place that would provide the land and the infrastructure's there, that's a big foot up
That is.
to me.
It's a big hunk.
I would agree.
I guess you never know till you ask.
Now, I do know that the city has places out here, but I don't know if they'd be big enough for what we would need. And obviously Hillsboro's the same way.
Okay, behind, here's just train of thought, behind the.
You carry on.
I go.
Here's a thought, oh crap, I gotta go.
This is your favorite topic, and now you gotta leave.
Yeah, but behind out there where we own the ambulance building.
Yep.
Not on the county city side, but right across the backside to the north is a
But I don't think it's big enough for what we need though. We'd have to check it out.
Yeah, I'm just saying that the utilities are at the where the ambulance is, so it wouldn't be very hard to bring utilities.
Plenty of power's right there also.
Everything, power and everything's there, so.
Okay,
That
well,
would be-
anyway.
Things like that, that's all I'm saying. is
Sure.
Just look around and.
Well, yeah.
And I agree wholeheartedly with what Dave, we don't wanna take and
It's roughly as big as what you, as long as what you have. It is
What's that? Up there at the city?
out there he's talking about.
Okay.
But it's not near as wide.
Right.
yeah, I'd have to look at it again, it's been a long time.
You'd have to work it into where your width would be
Right.
down the center.
Now, you know, I mean,
But
you know,
to
the other
me,
places you look at is.
Is behind John Deere there.
There-
They
well,
would
see-
continue Roosevelt all the way out towards the highway, and you'd be back there. Then
Yeah,
you got the DOT over there, and you got implements there. and
Yeah.
You just
The-
fit right in.
But the problem is that's already been platted by the city, because that's where they wanted to put the new hotel if it comes in. Now,
We
there
talked
are
about
places,
20 years ago.
yeah, but there are places out there that, you know, even some of the fields either side of the highway, it'd be great to have access right to 56.
Yeah, that would.
Right across from the Pizza Hut,
Maybe we could.
the guy owns that ground there, he was interested in selling some of that other corner to
Well,
us.
and I don't know if Rocky or anybody else would have any, you know, ground as well. You have a little bit tougher getting utilities out there.
Kraus,
but-
that's who I'm thinking of, owns that
Yeah.
corner ground there.
Well, as long as you stuck right to that corner, you'd be all right.
Yeah.
Yes, that,
But anyway, I mean, it's still, you know,
Used to be
like I said, if that's
office.
the case, then it's gonna cost more
Used to be
money.
to us in
but-
office.
And I don't know what it would cost to buy the ground unless they donated the ground. I mean, that's the other thing you look at.
Or you could jump across the stadium drive. Yeah, in the county.
Well, and you know,
Right there, that's Vogel's.
yeah, well, there's Vogel, but I think I don't know how much space there is. Well, it'd be right north of the, ball fields. There's a little field there, but then there's also, I don't know what it'd be down south. I'm trying to think, isn't there an area between the bus barn and
The old folks home.
well, south of
Anytime you
this?
get close to any residence.
Yeah. And you know, that, like I
There's
said.
not enough room.
Yeah.
I mean, there is room, there is an area, I know what you're talking
So
about.
anyway, I guess, looking for guidance, I mean.
And then I guess that's gonna turn to the commission then. What I'm hearing is an interest in a new site.
I think we're crazy if we don't rule out a new site first.
Okay.
I mean, if, you know, if it's not possible, then we rule it out and look at what we can do.
Well, and that's what we're looking for is guidance.
I'd be willing
I'd like
I
to
like the
pursue.
plan.
Jonah and I could talk to Hillsborough about industrial park, see
And
what
then-
they've had available.
I think we ought to see if there's any interest, just to rule it out. Canada have an option. I mean,
I
I'm
don't
not
know.
tied to
Well, I
any
guess
place, but
the power.
I'm just
would
trying to
be
think of the best
190th.
place.
yeah.
Power would be on 190th either way you
We're
went.
putting in new power right down the road. What are those big poles?
That's the Evergy.
Yeah,
line
you ain't
from-
getting on that line.
No, no.
That's gotta go to a substation first.
That's a transmission line.
But you can get some,
There's gonna be some power there someday.
There will be.
Like,
Now-
I guess
Unless
It's
you
going,
get
it's
Jonah.
going to feed the
the
substation.
guidance would be
substation
for
elsewhere.
you to explore sites that
Okay.
you find
the
appropriate.
other thing is to look at, whether the typically the city is out there somewhere near the, Kansas, you know, where the grain storage is. Access right over there. But anyway, so we'll do some looking, I guess if you
Where
guys.
the other substation is.
Yeah. Yeah, right next to the substation, so. Okay.
Bryce, I feel that we do need a new building. I'm wholeheartedly for a new building, just to see if we can make it feasible for everybody and in the long term. Yeah. But let's worry about road and bridge. Don't bring in other apartments unless they bring money with them.
Well, hey.
I mean, that's emergency management was thinking of safety.
That was part of the emergency
Yes,
management.
and I understand that.
And health department brings money.
And I didn't know whether
drive-through.
I didn't know whether the big buildings, cement buildings that got from Newton,
Pre-test?
I don't know
It doesn't matter what you get right now,
whether they're
everything's
storm.
crazy.
I didn't know whether they're storm.
Oh, yeah, they're, the biggest problem is once you get them designed, they may take 6 to 8 months to get built.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
just,
'cause
it's like anything else.
everything gets poured.
Yep,
I gotta go put conduit in once in a while down there,
Yeah.
and pipes, and boxes.
they've all just put where it's supposed to be.
Yeah, and then hopefully the slab doesn't. I've had
Or
to go
break the pipe.
directly across from each other.
Yeah, or break the pipe, so, okay.
Or
Um,
the plumber comes in for a drain and drills right through it,
Nice,
and
nice.
then I got water coming out of reset.
You're sure welcome to stay.
I'm just seeing what you got coming up here.
Oh, you're talking about roads?
Okay.
And take your little cheat sheet with you, you can.
Yeah, you got all that.
I got it.
Okay.
You joined the meeting.
Randy, you're talking about the paved roads and what you want to do for bond issue. Was working on Indigo last week before I left. My Adobe all of a sudden decided that it didn't recognize my program anymore. And so it wouldn't let me cut and paste. Oh, I was so mad because I stayed here last weekend trying to get that done. So I'm gonna have to change the dates for that, try to get it done in the next day or two. On top of the fact is the crack seal guys came back today. So I went out and visited them today. They're up on 330th today. They're gonna stay here till get done, so I'm guessing the middle of next week.
Microsurfacing still out till next year?
No. Microsurfacing they can do this year. It's the overlay that we're probably looking at. I did talk with Industrial finally came out. We did some cores. I think they're erring on the side of caution, obviously because their reputation's involved with it. They don't think the heater scarification, the 2-inch, would perform very well out here on 190th. Yeah. So, with that being said, we could put the microsurfacing on it and see how well it performs from there. I still don't want to go with any more of an overlay on top of it because we keep going up and up and up and up, we're gonna end up in trouble. The other thing that we could look at is down the road, if we wanted to, we could go in and just mill most of it out and just start over with 6-8 inches of asphalt. But again, it's gonna come out of the issue of how much of a priority do we want to put on this road for being the second busiest in the county. So, like I said, microsurfacing, he talked to me last week, he was gonna be working up a price to see what that would be for both of those. But they said that they could do those probably in June, July. They're gonna be working in Wichita and Salina. So, price-wise, I think, what did they say, $60,000 a mile?
65, I think.
Yeah, so even if we did Indigo as well, we're still looking at, less than $2 million or whatever else, so. But anyway, so the 190th, we probably look at the microsurfacing. Indigo, I'm gonna put this out there to say, okay, I'm gonna require that it be done yet this year. So we're either gonna get some bids, they're gonna be high, unless somebody thinks that they can get this done this year, or we won't get any bids at all saying, hey, we can't even get it done this year. So we'll see what happens. We obviously have the option of rejecting any and all bids, so we can do that. Now, I didn't get a chance to call KDOT, but my thought was, do we wait to hear back from KDOT on the cost share for Kansas? Or is that something that we just do ourselves, whether we get it or not? Because I'm afraid if we get started doing on anything, whatever else, and we get the project, they're gonna say, oh, since you've already started the project, you can't have the money. Problem is, I don't know if and when the money's coming. So.
Did you get much of a feel from the meeting at Hillsborough City Council?
No, I really didn't. I mean, I think they're all for it, but it's just.
I did come up with something. Kicked it out there. They didn't sound like they would turn us down. But to come up with their portion of the fees, or however,
Yeah.
use their crushed concrete. So we wouldn't have to truck it as far. And
Honestly, the crushed concrete is a very inconsequential portion of it.
right, but
I mean, it is something, yes. The other thing is I don't know what he crushed it to size-wise.
Right.
I probably want a little bit bigger stuff than what he looked at. But I mean, it's understandable. They're in the same way as everybody else. They're, trying to take care of things. So.
Yeah, just trying to in kind of some sort.
Yep.
And if it saved us fuel.
Yeah. Well, to say it would save fuel, I'd say the contractor fuel. I mean, because
Yeah.
we'd have them put it all down.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so swelled out, there's no way of fixing it.
Anyway, so I mean, Kansas, or the other thing is, if you have to spend I guess the question I had was, do we have to specify which projects we're gonna do? Because wasn't something mentioned that you could just pass the bond and just have the money sit there and then
She
you could?
said that we had to
I think
specify
Tina,
projects.
we had to have the projects.
It could
Okay.
be more. I
Right.
mean, you can specify $8 million worth of projects.
Okay.
You're gonna tick some people off when their project doesn't go through because you ran out of money.
Well, right.
Well,
I had just,
we've got enough projects on the list. We're gonna be doing these projects.
yeah, we've got the same issue with the, like when I get this submittal in for the economic development or whatever else is for 290th, but then again, I don't know if and when that money's coming either.
Okay.
Something else to look at as far as stuff that they're not as high a profile projects, but I mean, you've got Kansas south of the fertilizer place, whether you want to keep that asphalt. We've got the Alney Road, which has been brought up. If we do that, we probably need to do the FDR and whatever else, but I'm guessing that the FDR is probably gonna be pushing $200,000 a mile now. It's short, it's gonna be short straight, it's only 3 miles long, so you're gonna pay a premium to get them in there for that little bit, unless we turn around and do some more work.
Right.
Which may be Quail Creek, Limestone, both of them north of 290th. Both of them are in pretty bad shape as far as basis. You look at Kansas north of 56, it's probably in reasonable shape, I guess you say, compared to the others. So anyway, the other thing, we really haven't seen the full effect of it, but what about putting an overlay on the full depth reclamation we did last year?
Right. My hope was to get another couple of years out of it.
Mine too.
Because we all of them that you've just
Yep.
listed
Yep.
need to be done, and then hopefully we can do the overlay.
Yep. So, I mean, it comes down to the fact is, I could put a price tag with any and all these
Oh.
and just say, here you go, pick and choose what you want to
Which
do.
one of those three carry the most traffic? That you just talked about Kansas, Limestone, Quail Creek.
I would guess probably Limestone from 290th up to Tampa. A little bit of commuter traffic, but look at the grain haul as well. I don't think Quail Creek really gets a lot of traffic. And that was something else. You can go online and look. You can pull up the traffic maps, it'll show you. But ultimately, it comes down to the fact is, if you look at the traffic volumes, probably hardly any of them justify pavement. But that's another political thing you have as to.
Well, I'm just looking like at Kansas, you got ag traffic, you got recreation traffic.
Yeah, Kansas North is.
Kansas North is
It's got a lot of volume going
Okay,
on.
is that 2014, what?
2011, no, 2017.
17, okay.
That's the one you gave me.
Okay, and I think they've actually come out with 2020 already, but I'm sure it's probably not gonna vary that much. But anyway, like I said, that's what you look at, but then, here's another one, Durham. We gotta keep it paved up to Kent's place. To keep
that's where we use the bond?
Yeah, okay. Anyway, gotta
We'll
keep
have to
Jim-
put it on the list.
I'm just throwing that out there,
You
whether
can
you want to-
microsurface that.
Now, one thing that I will say is, I've been out there enough and Kent brought it up, is at least the traffic out to going out to the school and stuff like that. There is, quite a bit of traffic on that part. Unfortunately, that is the more I drive, it's like, wow, those curves are way too sharp. And, I mean,
Always
it
been
just.
like that.
Well, no, but I'm just
No,
saying.
it used to go right down to the Cottonwood River, and there was a
Yep.
little bridge, and then it went straight west.
Yep.
It was, and then
And
when
now
they
they
took
went-
that out, they
Yep. Yeah.
contoured that
But I mean,
thing.
man, those curves are sharp there.
Keeps the school kids from driving so fast.
Well.
I think it was
yeah.
probably more landowner issues than
Probably.
than anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, I will tell you, I was up at Durham this morning. I can't think who the guy was, but I've seen him before. He brought up the issue of the church at Falcon and 340th.
Yeah, that's the Mennonite church.
Right. He asked, he said, well, what would it take to get that paved? And I said, well, you know, I told him approximate dollar figures. He said, well, would the county help? And I said, well, that's something you need to take up with commissioners. So, it's a good road, but.
They've talked about that for a long time, but that's
Yeah.
a full mile. That's a full mile.
Yeah, full mile. Well, and it's no different that we've got the same church down at Hawley and 180th. They don't have a paved road to their church, you know, so I didn't even want to bring up the issue of the churches, but you know, it's.
Maybe Always want to help with it.
Well, and
Yeah,
again,
church.
you know, Alney is another road that doesn't justify being paved,
It's on Sunday.
but, but again.
Well, Alney needs something done with it. Like
Yes.
now. It
Well,
needs something
and
done.
that's-
It needs to be taken back to rock, I think, because we don't have the money to pave it right now.
You mean going from Alney east, that 3 miles?
Yeah.
And because right now it's
that's pretty dangerous, really.
We
become
have probably as
unsafe.
much or more rock than we do pavement on.
It needs to be one or the other right now. I think without being able to get contractors, is that something that county can do? Is
Well,
tear that
the other thing that I've looked at
Get
is.
the old Bomag.
Yeah, and just
Well,
rip it up.
I've talked about that, and I face
That may
serious
make sense.
opposition about how well that would work. But anyway,
Used to work well.
yeah, the other thing that we actually talked about, I actually got that quote from Burkamp, be about $30,000 a mile to go in there and mix all of that first, without cement. Their mixer obviously is gonna do a better job and faster than what we could.
What if you added some cement to it? Would that improve
It-
going down
yes.
the road later to
Yes,
show
it
faith
would.
that you were gonna try to
But-
do something with it?
It would, but you're gonna have to spend a little extra time and effort making sure that it stays good on top, so you don't break down that.
You need to seal it.
If you put
Yeah.
a good base of crushed concrete down,
And then mix it up, you mean, or?
well,
Because if you put cement with it, you're basically not gonna put any kind of rock or whatever else on it that's gonna stay.
I mean, when you tear it up, if you're gonna leave it gravel, by putting a good concrete crushed base under it,
Oh, yeah.
that would help at a certain point, once that stuff starts
Well,
bonding a little
yeah.
bit again.
Obviously, the more rock you put there, the better. The other thing is we need to get that road so it's crowned very well to keep the water off.
It's pretty flat.
That's the problem we face on almost all these, when they get to be blade patched and everything else, they almost end up being flat. But anyway, if that's what you want me to do, I can figure out something to do there, but again, that's gonna be a very, very difficult thing to talk about.
Yeah, I think
It is,
something's
but
gotta
it'd be
be
a lot
done.
safer, wouldn't it?
I'm not gonna argue that.
I don't think we have the money
I mean,
to
our
fix it asphalt.
health and safety of our residents actually come first.
Sure.
You know, yeah.
You know, new sheriff lives in that group. I'll blame it on him.
I go.
I like it.
Be careful,
I like
because
it.
we'll wind up
Okay.
paving Pawnee all the way out.
Well, I'll tell you what I'll do is I'll put together prices for all these, and
Pick your poison.
yeah.
Okay, so it's
Harvard
this
Hill.
just to here. Okay, to here. This used to be where it's.
Are we having another work session next week? I didn't look here.
I think next week is we do department head reviews.
Yeah.
It's the 26th.
But I mean, we gotta come up with this list by the 29th.
Yep.
I can try to get it to you as soon as I can this week. The other thing that I did, KDOT just come out with what they call their 1R project list, that basically they're simple overlays, things like that. The projects that were listed on there were closest to us was US 56 from Harrington to Council Grove was gonna be overlaid. And then Burns, 77 from Burns up to Florence. So, I mean, that's unfortunately, they're opposite ends of the county and nothing right in the center where we're looking at. There was nothing mentioned about 15 north from 56.
That's next year, isn't it?
Well, I don't know. See, and this is
I heard somewhere.
this is their fiscal 23 project, which starts July.
Yeah.
Both of these projects let in August. And again, KDOT does that so that the contractors can't get all the materials hauled in for the winter time. So like I said, we'll have, and I'm guessing that 56 project, I don't know if that would be close enough to Abilene, that APAC would probably just haul it out of there, or whether somebody would bring in a plant, I really don't know. But anyway, that's the option. So, let's see, the only thing that, two other things was gravel roads. We talked about gravel roads. I would like to propose, I mentioned it to Randy and he said it's gonna be a tough sell for the constituents. I wanna get away from just blading these roads and I wanna start rebuilding roads. The idea, we talked about this rock. We just keep hauling rock, we keep blading rock back and forth, we're not gaining anything. I would like to make a concerted effort basically to spend more time rebuilding roads than just blading them. I think we are gonna get so much more for our money when we start, if we spend this amount of time every year getting those rebuilt, starting with obviously the high profile ones. We've got Nighthawk down to Pawnee, we've got 360th, you know, we've got them all over the place. The biggest problem is, well, I mean, we have the crushed concrete stuff like that that we can go down on the base with. Basically comes down to, unless we find some more truck drivers, is to get the material down there. So we're gonna pay the extra in the hauling. But I mean, I still think that, you know, that's something that we can do. So what I wanna do is I was gonna come up with a list and basically try to do the same amount in every district so that you can say that, you know, we're not trying to, you know, get.
You want to place it?
Yeah.
So are we staffed now with enough blade guys? If you're rebuilding a road, you basically got at least 2 blade guys working, right?
Depending on what we're doing and how long. Now, the Nighthawk to Pawnee would be a very light rebuild, simply just pulling up the shoulders, recrowning it. We could stretch that out for many, many miles.
Yeah.
Now, if we're doing a project like we did on Eagle, 160th, 170th, we had 4 blades there that were there all week, just working that one
I
mile.
was just thinking, you know, if we're staffed enough to where, you know, if you
Yes.
had 2 blade guys tied up, you know, you'd have a floater that could come in and take care of something around there that needs to be taken care of.
And actually, that's what we are full with the 12 section man, which leaves James as our floater or whatever else. So we could either have him fix that stuff or help that out even faster, whatever the case may be.
So are they getting better trained?
Well,
I mean, are we
the
doing
training,
more crowding?
I did, the training's not the issue, it's just getting them to do it.
I know.
Everyone knows how to do it. Again,
Have they got rid of the ones that won't do it?
those people will still do it at times too. A lot of the problem comes on, we're just doing it too fast or whatever else, we're not fixing the potholes. And that's another reason why, until we start getting past all these crown issues.
Because Kraus said his road's a lot better now, because somebody put a crown on it.
Exactly, I mean, that's the main thing.
He took me aside and told me he's happy the other day.
Yeah, and that's.
Holy crap.
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah.
I was shocked too. When he
But
said,
anyway-
when he did this, you know.
Yeah. But anyway, so, but like I said, and the other thing is, we also have a lot of the, quite a few new employees that if we need the disc and the rollers and stuff like that, that we can put them out there too. So-
I think the consensus is to put a focus on rebuilding roads.
Okay.
And I think last year you had a major plan for a lot of rebuilds,
Well-
but then you didn't have any people.
Well, it didn't have any people and those spring floods.
And you had the
killed us.
floods.
Yeah.
So when do you get the new
That's where we
equipment?
get the most bang for our buck.
By golly, I got notice this morning that our 2 motor graders are in Salina.
The new ones?
The 2 new ones. So anyway, I don't know whether it be this week or next week, but he said something about rigging and all, I don't know what they were doing. But
And the used ones are,
we've had them.
oh, you've forgotten.
Oh,
Yeah, we got them in a week and a half ago.
Okay.
So they're out on the road?
They're out and operating.
Wow, so we'll have 4 nice rigs.
Yeah.
Plus, we make graders sitting up at the shop all the time.
Well, those are getting used as well, where hoses here and whatever else, so.
Okay. Okay, well, I think the commitment is here to
Okay,
proceed with.
so I will come up with a
aggressive-
list, and like I said, try to
Yes.
be as good as I can about,
Yes.
making sure everybody gets their share.
Yes.
So, and then, the other thing is, I had talked to Tina about this, and she suggested that I just talk to you guys about it. For those of us that spend any kind of time parking out here, east side of the parking lot over here has some issues. We have drainage issues, the parking area is still 1950-ish parking with the diagonals, all the water runs down there. I talked with Davey Hett, he's thinking that it's about, what did he say, 7,000 square foot. He's thinking that we ought to be able to do it for less than $10 square foot. So what we would do, and actually we wouldn't even need a designer, I can go out there and shoot the surveys, get the elevations, basically use the existing pavement or sidewalk up next to the courthouse, and we would match into those and then match into the two driveways. The only thing we'd really have to do is work with the manhole out here, have to make sure of that. But just to tear it all out, put in crushed concrete, and then put in concrete pavement. The problem is,
Take the trees out too?
nope. Well, I mean, we could. Those trees aren't going to be an issue. There's curb and gutter all around it, but it's been overlaid several times. I mean, the curb's only about 2-3 inches tall, and typically it's 8 or 9. But when it rains out here, the water sits right up next here to the front. That pavement is just shot through there. We've patched it several times. So anyway, just something to look at. If you're interested, I can do something on that.
You're losing all those parking stalls though, aren't you?
No. What we would do is we would make a line straight across
Yeah.
and then just mark them that way. So you would still, and what we could do is, we didn't figure out whether we would make the high point.
Teardrop it back and
Yep.
straight across.
Yep.
Teardrop.
Or the other thing is, maybe if that tree does come into play, we never really just established exactly what it was. We could just come across there and either make a high point so the water goes both ways, or make a spot where the water could drain down here where the generator on that concrete pad down there or something.
So the key is to get the water on.
Yeah, because right now, well, and then the water, and of course when we try to clean it up with snow removal, that's such a mess.
I'd rather build a chute beside the generator, shoot it off into the street.
I'm just saying wherever it may be.
I wouldn't want to take any water towards that generator.
No. What I'm just saying is whether we put, I think we've got enough fall, because we have to start with the elevation up here next to the courthouse. So everything goes that way. But anyway, it's just something to look at. Again, we're talking about all this.
Under maintenance kind of.
Well, and honestly,
keep the water out of
most
the
parking
building.
lots are done with asphalt, because that's the least expensive thing at the time. Your life cycle cost, concrete's the way to go. The turning movements, the sitting and everything else, because I mean, these are all, when you pull up here to the stall,
Yep, drop in the hole.
your wheel hits the rut.
No, you're there.
Yeah, that's your parking, that's your curb stop, so. But anyway, I just wanted to bring that up, that, that's something to look at too. The other thing is, even if we go out, well, whatever you want to do, if you want to negotiate it, if you want to go out to bid. I don't know if any of the Wichita people look at it, but obviously Davey Hett would, and I'm sure Volks Parker would. They do a lot of work locally as well. I don't know if any of the locals may want to look at it too. It's just going to be a coordination project. You're probably looking at a month to 6 weeks from the time when it's pulled out. We could even pull out the pavement. We could bring in the crushed concrete to cut the costs, whatever else. And then it's just a matter of going back with, I think, honestly, we could do it in asphalt, but I think concrete's the way to go, because our unit cost for asphalt's gonna be through the roof for them to try to find in all those areas, and so.
Cement lasts a lot longer.
Concrete.
Yes, excuse me.
Yeah, that's, you ask my family, that's one of my biggest pet peeves. So, you can't make bread without yeast, you can't make concrete without cement. So,
Okay.
yeah.
Good to know.
Yep. So, anyway, just something to look at. I mean, it's also something we wouldn't have to do in the summertime. We could do it in the fall, winter time. It's just like anything else. It's just your prep work to But I mean, I know those guys are the same way, they're so busy right now, so,
Seems like a wintertime job.
yeah. But again.
But one to put on the radar.
Yeah,
Put on the
so,
list.
but otherwise, I think that's it for what I have. I will get you a list of projects as soon as I can, money-wise, so you can kind of cuss and discuss and decide on Monday. So.
I guess I'm gonna come back to Kansas. You said we need to come up with a guidance for you on whether to proceed or wait.
Well, really it comes down to the fact is, I need to get a hold of Kate, talk to Michelle or whatever else, said, can we do anything prior to getting either notice or rejection? You
That
know,
would be good.
we really, what we had talked about was really not doing a full scale, like a consultant design. What we were gonna do is go in there once the project's awarded, and we're gonna take basically a profile of the existing road, and that's what we're gonna go back with. So basically what we'll do is, okay, contractor, you have here's your I mean, we can make adjustments on that, but have that profile of the road, and then basically turn that over to their surveying department and say, you develop your template on what you need to get it fixed. So we cut our design costs down tremendously, because there's a huge amount of money in there. We can supply the crushed concrete, you know, or they can haul it from the south shop, or Hillsboro, whatever the case may be. That's almost, you know, not much difference either way, but, so.
Yeah, if you could get the design portion of it started.
Well, like I said, really all that is that they with the surveying technology today, they basically hook up a GPS surveying equipment onto a UTV and they drive down the road. It does all the shooting right there for them, and there's your design. So, I mean, if you're gonna match the same horizontal and vertical alignment, then, and there's really not much to that. Again, we'll be able to make modifications, but once we get the vertical alignment, we get our cross slope, everything else should kind of take care of itself, so. But like I said, I don't really think that'd be too much of a problem. They could do that fairly quickly.
Okay, well, first step, contact
Yeah.
KDOT, find out for sure.
And maybe she'll be able to tell us if there's any idea when we might be getting it too, or when the deadline is.
And then 290th for the economic development, that has not been submitted?
Correct. Way too much stuff going on. I just need to sleep down here at the office for a while, get it done, so. And I guess the other thing is.
But that one, there is no upper limit on it?
Correct.
So it can be submitted as one
Yes.
proposal?
I did confirm that.
And there's no deadline, it's an open-ended?
Correct.
Pawnee.
I guess.
Pawnee is already getting sealed. Microsurface, no.
No,
Talk
not
about
Pawnee.
over the dam.
No, they got crack sealed.
Okay.
It's really not that bad a shape as
Still.
far as rutting or stuff like that, no.
Still running through the roads.
Yeah. They're, actually going up and over the dam isn't bad at all. It's just kind of the first quarter to half mile on the west end, south end, what are we gonna say? So.
Eyes are glazing over.
Yours or mine?
Mine.
Okay.
All need a rock.
That's what you wanna do. I mean, I can.
You can't take any official action.
No.
Right.
But
Well, and-
to get a temperature today so that when we come back, we can take an action.
Yeah, I will, and again, part of the problem that they said with the.
Something's gotta be done.
Bow-
Yes, it does.
Yeah, part of the problem they say with the bow mag is that it's extremely slow in
Right.
comparison.
No,
And they said,
contracted.
yeah, they said they end up fixing more things than they ever do.
No, it's just gotta be contracted and done, so they've got that road back.
It's not like the days where everybody was just happy to have a job.
Well, there's another piece of
Didn't really
equipment
care
to
how
put
slow
on
it was.
Purple Wave.
Well, but the problem is, what's it worth? Nobody else wants it either.
What's scrap metal?
Yeah.
And we'll sell it to Troyette.
That's right, scrap metal.
Okay. But otherwise, I didn't have anything else unless you guys did.
One of us on our own.
We got a lot of things in the works here, but.
So, I'm just going through
And I really need to redo that. I've thought about, I really need to redo that.
Because
plan
some
as
of
well.
them are microservice now in our heads,
Oh,
which
gotcha.
take a few dollars off.
Yeah.
It changes a lot.
Well, it does, but yet it doesn't, because it still stays on the list. It needs to have something.
Well,
done to
it still stays on the list, but it changes the total cost and
It
what
changes
you-
the total cost.
what
but
you
then-
can afford
Yes.
elsewhere.
Yeah, yeah. But then you still have to look at, well, we're gonna have to do something probably more earlier.
Yeah,
down the
well,
road.
I'm just saying, as far as bond money goes,
Yep.
we were supposed to have it figured out where it's
Well,
going.
like I said, I could go in there and, I don't know whether it'd be good to update it now with current costs.
And Nighthawk still needs, in my opinion, Nighthawk still needs to be on there with the bond money, but maybe not. Because you're supposed to be spending that, but you want to overlay it in 5 years.
I'm kind of the same thing. I'd like to
But,
do something, but do we need to spend the money elsewhere better or sooner?
well, the bond money, if I remember the calendar, would be available this summer.
Right.
So why can't Indigo stay on the list for bond?
I think it can.
mean,
And I
up
guess
there is
that's,
pretty much the whole that's pretty much the whole bond.
and whether,
Indigo and Kansas.
and I guess the other thing is, okay, say for instance, we did put the bids out there, we didn't, or people said they couldn't do it yet this year, as long as it was encumbered for
Yes.
bond, then it should be okay, all right? Okay,
Although Kansas, if you do get the other cost share, then you probably can't do double dipping on the bond and, well, you'd use bond for the county share.
yes.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah.
Okay, you got me caught up on that.
See, that glaze went away.
It's good.
So anyway, well, if you guys have any other questions, thoughts, whatever else, please let me know. So,
But you are on the agenda for next week?
yeah, well, we got department head meetings as well.
Right. I mean, we could revisit a couple of these road issues.
Yeah, like I said, I'll try to get stuff to you as soon as I can, so.
We need a updated list with microservicing.
Yep.
I'm liking that microservicing idea. It changes the value of a lot of things.
Well, it does. Like I said, it's just like anything else. It's a tool we use in the business for certain applications. You know, again, you contact the big cities, they use it all the time.
Yeah, they're,
You know,
they're
it's not.
typically not having 80,000-pound trucks running down there.
Well, no, but I'm just, it's very well suited for what they do because, basically you have one truck and then you have the laydown machine. You don't have any rollers or anything else. Basically it's open to traffic within 30 minutes or whatever else it is. And, you know, compared to an asphalt overlay where you have to mill first and then, you know, I mean, it's just.
And then,
It's
as far as
not
Indigo
3
goes,
days.
isn't there a few bad spots that we really need to pay a little extra attention to?
Yes. When we talk, we're gonna patch those
We're gonna
right away this spring.
dig it up,
Dig them out.
dig it up and redo it underneath.
Well, I don't know. I didn't really see a lot of water in any of the cores because I tried to core as many of those bad spots as I could. I think it's just total bad subgrade all the way down, and if you go subgrade, you can go 2-3 foot down.
Right, but
Then all you do is create a bathtub for water to sit in there to the road too. I think if we were to get in there and take out most of the pavement or whatever else, put a rock base with a drain, like a French drain out.
yes,
Then I think we can get over the top. So,
Bridget,
Does that satisfy you?
I think so.
Yeah.
It's either that or perforated bore shot it.
yeah, we've got a bunch of spots on 290th as well, exact same thing. So,
I agree with your concern on some of the spots on the south.
Yeah, I'd hate to go over the top and then have them spots just come back.
Yep.
If there could be some
Yeah.
type of extra base work potential.
Yep, oh yeah. Now we've got, again, typically, and that's why they're working on the distributor right now. I'd like to get back into blade patching in May if we can. It depends on the weather and everything else, you know, so the earlier we get on
Once it
that.
turns hot, it'll just turn hot.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then everything will turn to mush.
Yeah.
It won't sit.
Yeah, but the earlier we get on that, the sooner we get into the chip sealing and things like that as well.
And what's the season for rebuilding gravel roads? Is there?
Basically, the rebuilding the gravel roads depends on how much you do. Now, I was always gonna get to the Nighthawk and Pawnee coming down that way, we just never did. You just gotta be able to work the existing ground and then get material on top of it. Mainly dry more than anything. So.
I'm just trying to remember the seasons. You do the chip seal on this spot, you do.
Well, we wanna do the blade patching first to let that
Right.
mellow out, dry, whatever, cure out. So then we come back with chip sealing after that, so.
Okay. Very good. I thought it was a lot more productive than the last shot we did at work session.
We still need Brad for rock goes to here. Rock
Oh,
goes
yeah,
to there.
yeah. Well, again, that's,
No comment.
I've had a lot of people ask me about this, and I think, well, we're still working on it, so.
Okay. Very good. I think our work session has come to conclusion. Thank you all.
Yep, until
I'll
Ashley
have
says she's
Ashley
done.
shut things down.
Yeah, I got you.
We got a lot of information. Maybe next week we can have some decisions.
Well, or at least move a little farther, whatever, so.
All right, everybody online, we're gonna conclude our work session.
Is anybody still there?
This conference is no longer being recorded.
Does anybody ever know who the South user is?
Yeah.
It's
Phyllis.
Newspaper.
Phyllis, okay. That's what she uses, the South user.
South Machine.
Huh?
She uses the South Machine in the record office.
Oh, I got you,
See,
okay.
when we asked for names.
I can't get into that one, you're gonna have to close that anyway.
Light was off.